Schon mal was von Indigo-Kindern gehört? Nein, na, vielleicht. Hat das nicht was mit Hippies zu tun? Schon mal was von Indigo-Kindern gehört?
Ich habe von Indigo-Girls gehört.
Indigo-Girls.
Tolle Band.
Was ein Indigo-Kind ist? Keine Ahnung. Du?
Nie davon gehört.
Keine Ahnung, was ein Indigo-Kind ist.
Ich glaube, es geht da um so eine Art erweitertes Bewusstsein unter jüngeren Leuten, je nachdem, aus welchem Milieu sie stammen.
Meine Tochter ist 8. Sie wollte nur mich als Mutter und hat lange gewartet, um auf die Erde zu kommen. Als ob sie eine Mission erfüllen müsste.
Hat sie gesagt, welche?
Nein, noch nicht. Aber sie scheint sehr klug zu sein. Eine Urseele. Vielleicht ist sie ein Indigo-Kind.
The blessed gift a child brings, the veils will open when the angel sings. The blessed gift a child brings, the veils will open when the angel sings. And the arms of the earth are open wide, receiving the blessing from inside. The womb of the earth, miracle of birth, womb of the earth, miracle of birth. Brought here from the earth and sky, an angel of light come here to try to remind us of the simple bliss that lies within our mother's kiss. And the arms of the earth are open wide, receiving the blessing from inside. The womb of the earth, miracle of birth, womb of the earth, miracle of birth. The womb of the earth, miracle of birth. The womb of the earth, miracle of birth.
Ein Indigo-Kind besitzt eine hohe Sensibilität. Es hat die Persönlichkeit eines Kriegers. Das ist jemand, der führt und Verantwortung übernimmt.
Seit den 70er und 80er Jahren können Hellseher und medial veranlagte Personen die Farbe Indigo als Aura im körperlichen Umfeld hauptsächlich von Kindern sehen. Warum Kinder? Ihre Vitalität und Lebenskraft drückt sich in dieser Farbe aus. Ich habe diese als Indigos identifizierten Seelen immer an ihrem Indigoblau erkannt. Wenn ich die Seelen sehe, strahlen sie wie ein heller Stern am Mitternachtshimmel. Das klare, weiße Licht ist dabei von einem indigofarbenen Lichtkreis umgeben.
Es ist eine schöne Mythologie, ein Versuch, ein Geschehen in Worte zu fassen. Indigo ist eine schöne Farbe, aber eben nur eine Farbe. In Wirklichkeit bedeutet es, dass sich die Menschheit verändert. Es sind Kinder mit einem umfassenderen Wahrnehmungsvermögen. Für mich haben Indigo-Kinder ein stark erweitertes Bewusstsein für alles um sich herum. Für Sichtbares und Unsichtbares.
Sie
haben eine sehr tiefe spirituelle Basis, keine religiöse. Wenn man mit ihnen spricht, egal wie sie aufgezogen wurden, wissen sie, dass eine größere Macht existiert. Es gibt mehr als das, was wir sehen.
Sie sind auch große Heiler. Ich habe mich mit vielen beschäftigt. Und für mich haben sie die reinsten Herzen. Wir sind alle Kinder Gottes. Sie sind Menschen, die die Lehren Gottes nicht vergessen haben. Am Ende sind wir alle gleich. Wir alle können das tun.
Eine Zeit lang war ich ziemlich durcheinander, weil ich glaubte, nur ich würde bestimmte Dinge spüren und denken. Deshalb habe ich nicht immer so offen darüber gesprochen wie heute. Aber ich bin dankbar, dass ich das bin, was ich bin.
Indigos wissen, sie sind anders als die meisten Menschen. Es gibt Eigenschaften, die viele Indigos gemeinsam haben.
Diese Kinder oder jungen Erwachsenen haben bereits Zweifel über das, was ihnen in der Schule, vom Kinderarzt oder vom Psychiater gesagt wird. Man betrachtet sie als Kinder mit einer besonderen Wahrnehmung, Klugheit oder einem speziellen Mitgefühl. Für mich sind alle Kinder Indigo-Kinder.
I wouldn't just want to be certain people be singled out, called an indigo, because everybody is. They're just, some people have realized it and some haven't. Indigo is just a name for people who have realized it, really, and do special things that people think are amazing, but everybody can do it if they just believe that they can.
When I was 4, I had many visions of meeting God, meeting new people, and my inspiration is God. And when I draw, the first time that I drew, I thought that everything could do the same thing. But as I grew a little older, I knew that God gave me this gift to share with others too. So when I started drawing, God gave me more ideas that I don't even know. I don't even know what the meaning is. Like the pyramids, I really don't even know that meaning. Some paintings are even more harder and harder to think of and know that meaning. So when I started getting a little older, I started knowing that this is God. This is totally God. He's helping me with my art. He's helping me with my poetry, my life to live, other people's life. He's taking care of me like I was a little butterfly, and he's just a little human, just covering it, just making it safe. I like him. He's everything that I have, and when I think of that, I feel like a really good feeling that he's in every poem that I write, in every painting that I paint. Each time when I paint the eyes, I like the eyes because I like to paint their whole life in their eyes. Sometimes do this people even inside their eyes, little people. You don't think, you don't just, for example, you dream of something and you just see stuff inside your dream and you just see it. It's like exactly like writing it and seeing it at the same time. I know it's God, I really know it. And sometimes I just feel like, God gave me this gift to me, why not others? Because sometimes I'm a little frustrated because I don't get that right thing, like the right word or the right position. So I'm frustrated, but when I just start talking to God, I just go away and I start talking to him. When I start talking to him, he just calms me down right away. He just says that everything's gonna be okay. And then when I just know that feeling, I just know that it's real. Everything's happening and other people could have that feeling too. having this feeling of writing something down about the painting that I was sketching. So I was thinking of something, but I didn't need to think. I was just writing effortlessly. And when I started writing and I showed it to my mom, she says, what is these words coming from? And I said, it's from God. Then I used to go to school at that time. So I showed it to my art class. It's like show and tell. And all the students like this, oh my gosh, did you write that? And I thought everybody could write the same thing as I. When I started getting a little older, I understood that God gave me this gift to share with others, to teach others what He gave me. The day I was born, I met myself. The day I was born, I met my young mother. The day I was born, I met Christ sleeping in my cradle.
Es sind keine Indigo-Kinder, keine Kristall- oder Regenbogenkinder, sondern Kinder von heute. Wenn man zu kategorisieren beginnt, klebt man ihnen Etiketten auf.
Unsere Gesellschaft liebt Etiketten. Die Menschen mögen Schubladen und stellen gern alles an seinen kleinen, idealen Platz. Aber wenn man darauf besteht, dass es besondere Phänomene wie Indigo- oder Kristallkinder gibt, dann vergisst man, dass wir alle besondere Gaben haben, dass jeder Mensch auf diesem Planeten etwas Besonderes ist.
Ich möchte am liebsten gar keine Terminologie, kein Etikett und möglichst wenig Worte dafür verwenden, auch wenn Bezeichnungen in dieser Welt so wichtig sind. Höchstens das Wort entwickelt. Diese Kinder haben eine andere Entwicklung als andere Individuen durchgemacht.
Say you're an indigo, and somebody comes up to you and asks you a question of something, say it's your mom or dad, they come up to you, ask you something, or your friends or anything, they come up and ask you something about their life that you don't know about, and you could tell them what it was and how it happened and everything like that. And then they just look at you and say, "You're freaky," or something like that.
Zugegeben, es gibt Kinder, die etwas Besonderes sind. Aber ich habe bis jetzt noch keins getroffen, das nicht die Fähigkeit hätte, etwas Besonderes zu werden.
Ich möchte gern glauben, dass unsere ganze Gesellschaft, unsere ganze Welt sich zusammen weiterentwickelt. Der eine vielleicht schneller, der andere langsamer, aber gemeinsam, als menschliche Wesen.
Bei der Etikettierung von Indigo-Kindern besteht die Gefahr, dass wir den Etiketten glauben und einer authentischen Erfahrung ausweichen. Oder wir passen ein Ereignis unserer vorgefassten Meinung an, damit es zu der Vorstellung passt, die das Etikett suggeriert.
Putting the label indigo, on somebody kind of is almost, or was for me, almost intimidating to live up to. Because, you hear all this stuff like, wow, so if I'm indigo, does that mean I can never wake up and have a bad morning? Does that mean I can never, never have it get into a bad mood? So I think the label might be a little limiting sometimes, but once I realize, wait a second, we're just kids who want to make the world a better place.
One day we will do away with the labels. Eines Tages werden wir die Etiketten abschaffen und sie einfach Kinder nennen. Aber momentan ist es wichtig, solche Kategorien zu haben. Denn wenn wir sie nicht etikettieren, tun es andere. Das geschieht ohnehin schon. Sie werden zum Beispiel legasthenisch, autistisch, problematisch genannt. Oder als ADHD-Fall, als aufmerksamkeitsgestört diagnostiziert. Wenn wir für Indigos keine Etikettierung finden, tut es der vorherrschende Teil der Gesellschaft.
Mainstream society will. When Joshua was about 3, we'd just arrived in New Zealand and we were.
Als Joshua etwa 3 war, fuhren wir in unserer neuen Heimat Neuseeland umher. Einmal suchten wir einen Strand, um dort Steine übers Wasser hüpfen zu lassen oder irgendwas zu spielen. Joshi war ziemlich in sich gekehrt und plötzlich, aus heiterem Himmel, sagte er, »Dad, wer ist Michelangelo?« Ich stutzte einen Moment und antwortete ihm, das war ein Künstler. Er überlegte einen Moment, dann sagte er, ja, er hat den Himmel gemalt, nicht wahr? Ich dachte einen Augenblick nach und antwortete, ja, in großen Kirchen. Und fügte hinzu, warum? Hast du ihn gekannt? Er sagte, ja, ich kannte ihn. Er war ein guter Mann. Das weckte mein Interesse natürlich noch mehr und ich bat, erzähl mir mehr darüber, Joshi. Aber er meinte nur, Dad, das war doch schon vor so langer Zeit. Und das war das Ende der Unterhaltung.
Es hat schon immer sogenannte Indigo-Kinder gegeben. Das Einzige, was jetzt anders ist, ist, dass im Moment einfach sehr, sehr viele erleuchtete Kinder geboren werden.
So zahlreich wie jetzt sind Indigos wahrscheinlich zuletzt im 12., 13. Jahrhundert auf unserem Planeten erschienen. Damals waren sie Gnostiker, Katharer und heterodoxe Christen, also Ketzer.
Einige frühe Beispiele sind Jeanne d'Arc und Bernadette Soubirous, bekannt als die heilige Bernadette. Das waren willensstarke junge Leute, die die Welt veränderten.
Sie sind auch unglaublich begabt. Manche erinnern sich an ihr Leben vor der Geburt, sogar noch bevor sie in den Uterus gelangten. Ein Mädchen erzählte ihrer Mutter, dass sie beobachtet habe, ehe sie sich für den Bauch ihrer Mutter entschied. Sie beschrieb Dinge, die die Mutter getan hatte, sodass sie wusste, dass ihre Tochter die Wahrheit sprach. Sie wartete auf den richtigen Moment und sagte, ich habe dich gewählt. Ich habe mir ausgesucht, in deinen Bauch zu kommen.
And she was waiting for the moment to come in, and she said, I chose you. I chose to come into your tummy.
Ich bastelte mit meinen Kindern. Die beiden Ältesten waren am Küchentisch beschäftigt und Malaya saß auf meinem Schoß. Sie sah mir in die Augen und bemerkte plötzlich die Spiegelung. Sie sagte, ich kann mich in deinen Augen sehen. Ich antwortete, ja, Liebling, und ich mich in deinen. Ist das nicht schön? Jeder kann sich im anderen sehen. Lächelnd sagte sie, genauso als ich Oma Marlene war. Ich wollte mehr darüber wissen. Und sie erzählte, ich war sehr krank. Die Ärzte wollten mir noch helfen, aber ich war viel zu krank. Ich starb und mein Körper wurde kälter und kälter und kälter. Als sie das sagte, war solch eine Intensität im Raum. Meine Mutter war nach ihrem Tod 3 Tage auf Eis gelegt worden. Malaya sagte, 2 Männer kamen ins Haus und legten mich in eine Kiste. Was tatsächlich stimmte. Und sie brachten meinen Körper an einen Ort mit einem großen Ofen, wo er verbrannt wurde. Mein Geist flog zu den Engeln. Ich war selber kein Engel, aber ich war bei den Engeln. Und von dort habe ich euch alle beobachtet, sagte sie. Dann war ich ein Baby und jetzt bin ich Malaya. Die Klarheit ihrer Aussage machte ihr Angst. Und ich wusste intuitiv, dass ich dieses Lied singen sollte, obwohl ich das normalerweise nicht mit meinen Kindern singe. So begann ich das Lied He's Got the Whole World in His Hands zu singen. Angelina stimmte auch ein. Und nach wenigen Augenblicken greift Malaya nach meinen Wangen, sieht mir gerade in die Augen und sagt, das war das Lied. Und ich erinnerte mich augenblicklich, dass meine Mutter in ihrem Testament verfügt hatte, dass dieses Lied auf dem Boot gesungen werden sollte, als ihre Asche in den Atlantik gestreut wurde. Alle Familienmitglieder, ob jung oder alt, egal welchen Glaubens, sollten wissen, dass sie ihre Seele in Gottes Hände gelegt hatte und zutiefst darauf vertraute. Als ich Malaya dieses Lied vorsang, lächelte sie, weil es sie in diesem Moment wirklich tröstete. Das Lied war ihr Leitgedanke, um sie daran zu erinnern, dass ihre Seele in Gottes Händen liegt.
He's got you, my Leia. In his hand, he's got you, my Leia. In his hand, he's got you, my Leia. In his hands, he's got the whole world in his hands.
Es gibt einige Indigos, die mit dem Schwert des Willens und der Kraft auf den Planeten kommen. Sie räumen mit alten Paradigmen und mit Illusionen auf. Andere bringen das Mitgefühl, wieder andere eine neue Licht- und Tonsprache. Da kommt die Musik ins Spiel und die Kommunikation des Herzens. Wenn unsere Gedanken still werden, erkennen wir, dass eine klare Kommunikation das Herz erreicht. Ich und viele andere sind hier, um eine neue Sprache zu bringen. Und wir brauchen neue Ohren zu hören.
We just need the new ears to hear. I'm grateful, 'cause to walk the path of light isn't easy. But now I see it so clearly. It came into my life, and now I know that you always been there. Now I just wanna say. Just want to say that I love you, yes I love you. I came from kind of a dysfunctional family. My parents got.
Ich komme aus einer kaputten Familie. Meine Eltern ließen sich scheiden, als ich 5 war. Ich wusste, für mich gab es in der äußeren Welt keine Stabilität und meistens keinen Trost. So musste ich meinen persönlichen Weg finden und ging in mir selbst suchen. Wir müssen in der Lage sein, diese Kinder zu verstehen, wenn sie erzählen, ich sehe nachts Engel, oder die im Voraus wissen, dass bestimmte Dinge geschehen werden. Meine Eltern haben zu mir gesagt, das ist nur ein Traum, deine Fantasie geht mit dir durch. Ich wollte alles verdrängen, statt mich unterstützen zu lassen, und habe mich abgekapselt.
I pour my energy into this cup for you. Drink it up. I sing my melodies. In fact, I just like to ask, is everyone
Eine Frage. Schon mal was von Indigo-Kindern gehört? Wissen Sie, was damit gemeint ist?
Ja, so in etwa. Ich beobachte meine Kleine. Sie ist überdurchschnittlich sensibel. Das ist nicht alles. Die Erinnerung an frühere Leben kommt bei ihr durch. Und sie weiß nicht immer, wie sie damit umgehen soll. Aber sie ist direkt unter der Oberfläche. Wie alle Kinder wissen Indigos, was wirklich authentisch ist und was nicht. Aber mit dem Nicht-Authentischen scheinen sie viel ungeduldiger zu sein. Das bringt diese Kinder manchmal in Konflikte, aber auch den einen oder anderen Meister zum Erwachen.
Zuerst müssen wir eine Empfangsbereitschaft für das Neue entwickeln, uns wie ein Radioempfänger eintunen. Das schaffen wir nur, wenn wir die Dunkelheit und alte Muster des Zweifels und der Angst und alle Verhaltensmuster ausräumen, mit denen wir ausgestattet wurden. Aber wenn unser Empfänger erst einmal freigesetzt ist, kann er auf den Empfang der Indigo-Schwingungen eingestellt werden. Es ist unglaublich zu sehen, wie dieser Prozess überall auf dem ganzen Planeten stattfindet und sich wie ein Netz ausbreitet.
But more and more it's becoming a web. We are the
Warum gibt es Indigos? Indigos sollen zwischen Himmel und Erde eine Brücke schlagen.
Indigo-Kinder haben auf einer höheren Ebene und in einer viel größeren Tiefe als die meisten anderen Menschen Zugang zu menschlichen Erfahrungen. Sie greifen anders auf die ankommenden Daten des Lebens zu denen manche Menschen überhaupt keinen Draht finden. Deshalb werden Indigos nicht selten als Kinder mit Aufmerksamkeitsstörungen oder anderen Entwicklungsstörungen gesehen. In Wirklichkeit haben sie keinen Mangel, sondern ein zusätzliches Potenzial. Sie haben mehr, nicht weniger.
Wenn wir die spirituellen Gaben unserer Indigo-Kinder mit Substanzen wie Ritalin oder mit Fastfood zustopfen, das an den Schulen als Mittagessen angeboten wird, dann stecken wir sie buchstäblich in chemische Zwangsjacken.
Man kann sie nicht in einen Lehrplan zwängen, wo sie von allem ein bisschen lernen müssen. Sie wollen sich so gründlich mit einem Thema befassen, dass sie geradezu damit abheben können. Erst wenn sie mit einer Sache durch sind, wenden sie sich einer neuen zu.
Viele dieser Kinder brauchen wirklich Privatschulen oder müssen zu Hause unterrichtet werden. In Schulklassen mit 20, 30, 40 Kindern müssten sie sich einordnen und eine ganze Stunde stillsitzen. Für viele ist das viel zu viel verlangt.
Ich wurde als bipolar, manisch-depressiv, schizophren und psychotisch eingestuft. Als ich einen sogenannten Zusammenbruch hatte, nach mehreren Versuchen von Gebäuden zu springen, sagte ein Arzt zu mir: Frau Kirkland, man wird Sie wahrscheinlich für viel zu emotional halten und Ihnen sagen, dass Sie nicht mehr als Schauspielerin arbeiten können. Hören Sie nicht darauf. In meinem Heimatland Asien würden Sie als Künstlerin gelten. Hier in Ihrem Land hält man Sie für verrückt, weil Sie zu kreativ, zu künstlerisch sind.
Man kann sagen, diese Kinder sind in ihre Hyperaktivität hineingeschlittert. Das hängt mit minderwertigem Essen und dem Quecksilber in ihrer Umgebung zusammen. Manche nehmen es mit Fisch zu sich, andere haben es sogar in ihren Zähnen. Dazu kommt, dass die Jüngeren durch Impfungen damit konfrontiert werden. Viele der Kinder entwickeln sich ganz normal, bis sie mit Thimerosal, einem Präparat auf Quecksilberbasis, geimpft werden. Ich kann mir keine künstliche Substanz und kein Medikament vorstellen, das im Körper eines Kindes eine so tiefe Wirkung hervorrufen könnte wie Liebe, mitfühlende Zuwendung und Anerkennung.
Viele Indigo-Kinder tragen das Etikett ADHD, was in der Medizin für Aufmerksamkeitsdefizitstörung mit Hyperaktivität steht. Für mich bedeutet diese Abkürzung auf eine höhere Ebene gerichtete Aufmerksamkeit.
Es geht um einen osteopathischen Ansatz bei Kindern mit einer Aufmerksamkeitsdefizitstörung, mit oder ohne Hyperaktivität und Autismus. Thema ist die Behandlung im Einzelfall und das Spektrum an Alternativen. Wir haben die Wahl, entweder Medikamente wie Ritalin oder Alderol oder ähnliche einzusetzen. Wir können auch gar nichts tun oder alternative Behandlungsmethoden anwenden und auf Kräuter oder Homöopathie zurückgreifen. Es gibt eine Vielzahl an Möglichkeiten und auch osteopathische Ansätze, die bei diesen Kindern einen riesen Unterschied machen. Legen wir uns also auf eine einzige Methode fest oder bedienen wir uns des gesamten Spektrums an Möglichkeiten? Was können wir tun, um dem Einzelfall gerecht zu werden? Anders zu sein ist nicht schlimm, es ist nur anders. Du musst nur Leute finden, die dich verstehen, die dich respektieren und dir erlauben, das Individuum zu sein, das du bist. Das ist das Wichtigste. Und man muss erkennen, dass man nicht immer das liebe Kind sein kann, mit dem jeder klarkommt. Was ist normal? Wir nutzen dieses Wort so selbstverständlich. Was ist normal? Jeder Arzt, jedes Elternpaar und jedes Individuum versteht etwas anderes darunter. Wenn wir sagen, dieses Kind ist nicht normal, haben wir also ein Problem. Ich stelle bei diesen Kindern immer wieder fest, dass sie oft sehr gescheit sind. Haben Sie diese Erfahrung auch schon gemacht? Gut, es sind einige der intelligentesten Kinder, die Sie je gesehen haben. Wenn begabte junge Menschen neugierig auf die Welt sind und sie verbessern wollen, müssen wir diese Kinder fördern. Wir spüren, dass sie etwas Besonderes sind. Eigentlich ist das jeder Mensch. Sie aber müssen eine Chance bekommen, sich zu einem Menschen zu entwickeln, der der ganzen Welt nützt. Wenn wir sie in ihren Besonderheiten unterstützen, können sie aufblühen und sich vielleicht zu jemandem entwickeln, von dem die ganze Welt profitieren kann. Dann kann man meinetwegen das Etikett Indigo verwenden. Wichtig ist, dass jedes Kind diese Liebe, dieses Mitgefühl und diese Geduld braucht. Nur damit kann es sich zu seiner vollen Größe entfalten.
And the storm clouds are lifted from the footsteps of yesterday's dreams, and I know.
Seit 1992 sind in unseren Schulbezirken die Fälle von Autismus um 800% gestiegen. Und sie erhöhen sich jedes Jahr um durchschnittlich 20%. Diese Daten stammen aus Untersuchungen des Zentrums für Krankheitskontrolle. Alle anderen Entwicklungsstörungen nehmen vergleichsweise nur um etwa 1 bis 3% zu. Autismus ist also weiter auf dem Vormarsch. Es gibt also einen Grund, warum sie hierher kommen. Wir sehen in manchen der jüngeren, hochsensiblen Kinder Unterschiede in der Fähigkeit zu kommunizieren. Viele von ihnen scheinen auf telepathischem Weg mit ihren Eltern zu kommunizieren. Erst später im Leben scheint das ein Problem zu werden, nämlich dann, wenn es den Eltern peinlich ist, dass ihr Kind in sozialen Situationen oder in der Schule die Dinge nicht verbal ausdrückt. So kommt es bei diesen Kindern zur Diagnose Autismus oder in manchen Fällen Asperger-Syndrom. Das autistische Spektrum ist sehr breit. Es reicht von Kindern, die sich nicht deutlich artikulieren, bis zu jenen, die in ihrer eigenen kleinen Welt leben.
To a child who seems to be in their own little world. Hey. Right now I sing this song to you. I just hope you can feel it through and through. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. You wanna dance? Now's your chance. Get down, like James Brown, he's feeling low. I see his glow of God light burning bright in this moment,
Ich habe mit meinem Sohn Dar in den letzten Jahren gearbeitet. Er hat den Autismus gut überwunden und zu reden begonnen. Das ist sehr aufregend und wir sind sehr stolz auf ihn. Ich werde nicht weiter über ihn sprechen, dann muss ich weinen, Tränen der Freude. Aber noch eins, er liebt es, Geräusche zu machen. Eins geht etwa so, om, om. Und ich frage dann, om, heißt das Mom? Und er wieder, om, Mom, Mom. Und als nächstes wird aus Om ein Mom, als ob man ein Lied singt.
Klingt wie Gott für mich. Ich mag diesen Burschen.
Wir treten in Verbindung miteinander und fangen an, lautlos zu kommunizieren. Es ist genauso, als ob ich mit Ihnen in Beziehung treten würde und wir uns unterhalten oder etwas anderes machen würden. Vielleicht zusammen in einem Auto fahren. Oder wir sehen beide etwas Schönes und das verbindet uns. Ich schaffe eine Situation, um mit meinem Kind in Beziehung zu treten. Und das Kind tut das Gleiche.
Ich weiß, es gibt viele Anekdoten über diese autistischen Kinder, die eben eher telepathische Fähigkeiten besitzen und deshalb nicht so ausdrucksfähig sind. Ich kann nicht sagen, dass ich selber das erlebt habe. Viele Leute haben mir über ihre persönlichen Erfahrungen mit solchen Kindern erzählt, aber ich kann persönlich nichts dazu sagen. Wie Sie wissen, reden wir hier über diese außersinnliche Wahrnehmung, dass wir einen wichtigen Teil unseres Gehirns immer noch nicht nutzen. Man muss sich fragen, ob so etwas möglich ist.
Ich muss Ihnen jetzt etwas gestehen, okay? Also, in dieser Zeit war ich verheiratet und hatte gerade die Nase voll von meinem Mann. Ich stand also gerade da und spülte das Geschirr. Da ging als einziger zu dieser Zeit nicht in die Schule. Er beschäftigte sich mit etwas, was er ganz oft tut, und war ganz in sich gekehrt. Also ich stand da und spülte und dachte an diesen Mann, den ich gerade kennengelernt hatte, der sehr nett war, und hatte gerade den Gedanken, vielleicht sollte ich eine Affäre mit ihm haben. Da hörte ich ganz laut in meinem Kopf ein Nein. Das Unheimliche daran war, dass ich nicht selber diesen Gedanken Nein oder Nein, das werde ich nicht tun, dachte. So war es überhaupt nicht. Es war eine Stimme, die ich als Dars Stimme erkannte. Gelegentlich sagte er Dinge wie, ich nehme das oder ich mache das, sodass ich seine Stimme kannte, wenn er ganz normal sprach. Ich hörte also dieses Nein in meinem Kopf und sah zu ihm rüber. Er sah mich an und sagte Nein, 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 nein. Das hatte er noch nie getan. Und ich dachte mir, oh mein Gott, dieses Kind kann meine Gedanken lesen. Er hört mir beim Denken zu.
Wir können Indigo-Kinder als Ärgernis oder Belästigung betrachten oder wie etwas, mit dem man nur schwer klarkommt. Wir können ihr Verhalten jedoch auch als eine Gabe sehen, als Möglichkeit zur Einsicht in das Leben. Wenn wir verstehen, dass wir durch diese Kinder als eine Art Kanal zu Informationen gelangen, auf die wir mit den eigenen Mitteln nicht zugreifen können, dann würden wir sie ganz anders behandeln.
The children look up to you and you're definitely their role model and just let the kid be a kid. I mean, if it gets out of control, yeah, but just be patient and let them be themselves.
Many indigos are in trouble right now.
Viele Indigos befinden sich zurzeit in einer schwierigen Situation. Sie haben diese intuitiven Fähigkeiten, Dinge mitzubekommen, die anderen verborgen bleiben, die aber oft nicht anerkannt und akzeptiert werden. Dann fangen sie an mit Selbstmedikation. Sie benutzen Drogen und Alkohol. Eltern müssen lernen, mit ihren Kindern zu kommunizieren und auch sicher sein, dass sie das richtig machen.
Have taken enough training to know how to communicate well.
It's really okay as a parent to not know the answer.
Es ist in Ordnung für Eltern, die Antworten nicht zu kennen.
I really love my kids.
Es ist okay zu sagen, ich liebe meine Kinder wirklich. Aber irgendwie hatte ich mir das anders vorgestellt. Oder mein Kind ist ziemlich seltsam. Ich weiß nicht, wie ich damit umgehen soll. Das ist alles okay. Aber da muss noch etwas folgen, wenn man ein Kind aufziehen will. Der nächste Schritt sollte lauten, ich weiß zwar nicht was, aber ich werde es herausfinden.
Wenn es nur ein Geschenk gäbe, das Eltern ihrem Kind machen können, das bleibenden Wert besitzt und lebenslange Wirkung, dann denke ich, ist das die elterliche Präsenz. Und damit meine ich nicht die Stunden oder Tage, die sie mit ihrem Kind verbringen, sondern dass sie vollkommen präsent und offen sind mit ihrem Kind. Und sei es nur für 10 oder 20 Minuten, absolut offen für die authentische Erfahrung dieses Augenblicks.
Wenn Sie nicht bei sich selber anfangen, dann wälzen Sie die Probleme nur auf Ihr Kind ab. Sie müssen einen Weg finden, sich davon zu befreien. Dann können Sie Ihr Kind auch als etwas Wunderbares betrachten. Bücher oder Meditation können eine Hilfe sein. Aber Sie sollten sich immer dann, wenn Sie spüren, dass Ihr Kind zum Problem wird, fragen, warum ist es eine Belastung für mich? Und dann eine Lösung suchen.
Die Seele so eines Kindes ist weise und reif, manchmal sogar mehr als ihre eigene. Gleichzeitig versucht diese reife und weise Seele, die sehr fähige Seele, in dem kindlichen Körper Geist und Platz zu finden. Vergessen Sie also nicht, dass das Kind entsprechend aufgezogen und die große Seele geachtet werden muss.
Children have an answer. Together we will stand. Like a mother we are held by the one. Like a mother we are held by the one.
When I had Alexa and Natalie,
Alexa und Natalie haben sich schon immer sehr unterschieden von anderen Kindern. Als Mutter bin ich immer meinem Gefühl gefolgt und habe ihre Talente von Anfang an gefördert. Sie durften auftreten und tun, was sie liebten, wie zum Beispiel Musik. Das ist schon immer ihr Leben gewesen. Sie konnten 1 Million Dinge tun. Sie bekamen gute Zensuren in der Schule, konnten Theater spielen, komponieren und Instrumente erlernen und bei Tanzgruppen mitmachen.
Wacht auf! Was tut ihr? Wofür lebt ihr, wenn ihr nicht euren Träumen folgt? Sie wissen, es gibt Leute, die am liebsten malen würden. Sie haben sich aber entschlossen, Autowäscher zu sein. Wisst ihr, was ich meine? Ich glaube, es geht wirklich darum, wenn du dir selbst treu bist, kannst du auch anderen Leuten gegenüber wahrhaftig sein. Dann gibt es mehr Harmonie auf der Erde und alles ist mehr im Einklang. Musik ist das, was ich wirklich machen will. Aber es ist so, wie meine Schwester gesagt hat. Ich lebe 2 verschiedene Leben. Wenn ich hier in Utah in der Schule bin, verstecke ich den anderen Teil. Was soll ich machen? Zu Hause mache ich Musik. Aber wenn ich zur Schule gehe, dann lebe ich eben diese andere Hälfte von Natalie.
Man hört das A fast als E. Wenn du Nee, Nee, Nee singst, dann zieht sich das und wirkt zu sehr wie geschrien. Das will zwar dein Kopf, aber lass das nicht zu. So klingt es immer noch wie Nee, aber du denkst an E. Das hält es klein genug und du bekommst dieses Gefühl. Nochmal.
Für mich ist ein Indigo-Kind jemand, der mit einem Wissen, mit einer Aufgabe auf die Erde kommt. Und meine Aufgabe und die von Alexis ist, Musik zu machen. Ich weiß, dass es die Musik ist. Und Alexa und ich geben all unsere Gefühle in die Musik. Wir sind 24 Stunden am Tag, 7 Tage die Woche damit beschäftigt. Wir wissen das einfach. Natalie und ich machen außerdem Singen noch Gymnastik. Wir schauspielen, tanzen. Wir haben sogar Fußball gespielt und so ziemlich alles gemacht, was man sich vorstellen kann. Und ich glaube, das ist gut, weil wir dadurch viel gelernt haben. Und wir haben nicht nur gesungen. Wir haben so ziemlich alles probiert. Aber nun wissen wir beide, dass wir am liebsten singen. Verglichen mit meiner Schwester bin ich nicht so ernsthaft. Sie lebt nur für die Musik. Ich liebe Musik, darum mache ich das auch. Und ich bin gerne glücklich. Und sie ist viel ernsthafter. So etwas wie die ältere Seele. Mein Rat an alle, die wie Natalie und ich sind: Versucht nicht, euch selbst zu verleugnen. Tut nicht so, als ob ihr normal wärt, weil ihr das nicht seid. Das Gefühl, nicht hineinzupassen, erinnert euch jeden Tag daran. Deshalb habe ich das Lied »Lebe, als wäre es dein letzter Tag« geschrieben. Ich singe es jeden Tag. Was würde ich wollen, wenn dies heute mein letzter Tag wäre? Würde ich negativ sein wollen und die Zeit mit Selbsthass verbringen? Nein. Ich würde Spaß haben wollen und Dinge tun, die ich sonst nie tun würde. Man weiß ja nie, wann der letzte Tag kommt. Du musst den Takt schlagen.
Today I don't care what you think. I am gonna live for me, and that won't ever change. Today could be my last day.
I mean, children are getting bombarded with just stuff that they don't even need to see or hear.
Kinder werden mit so viel nutzlosem Zeug bombardiert. Ich denke, die Dinge sind so schräg in diesem Land, auch bezogen auf das, was wir ihnen beibringen. In staatlichen Schulen lernen sie erfundene und verlogene Biografien von Persönlichkeiten der Geschichte. Keiner bringt ihnen bei, wie man Krisen im Leben geistig bewältigt oder sich sinnvoll mit Biokost ernährt. Sie lernen auch nicht, wie man den Boden bewirtschaftet und nichts über Meditation und wie man seinen Puls in einem Streit beruhigen kann. Was ist bloß mit unseren Schulen los?
Unfortunately, our country does not put in the amount of money.
Leider steckt unser Land nicht die Mittel in unser Schulsystem, die nötig wären, um die Pädagogen und Schulen wirklich finanziell zu unterstützen. Und all diese tollen Leute versuchen ihr Bestes in diesem System, das immer wieder versagt.
My book, Be Here Now.
Mein Buch Be Here Now, sei jetzt hier, ist im Moment der Hit an allen Highschools.
So, that's certainly some mark, you know.
Das hat sicher was zu bedeuten. Es kratzt an ihrem Bewusstsein. In den Schulen darf nicht so viel Wert auf das Auswendiglernen von Fakten gelegt werden, sondern darauf, die natürliche Weisheit der Kinder zur Entfaltung zu bringen.
Unser Wort Education bedeutet das Herausziehen der Weisheit aus dem Inneren. Es kommt vom griechischen edukos, was wörtlich herausführen heißt.
Wenn es heißt, kein Kind zurückgeblieben, macht mir das Angst. Denn es zeigt, dass statt ihnen beizubringen, wie man denkt, gelehrt wird, was sie denken sollen. Wir müssen zum wahren Lehren zurückkehren.
Wir haben uns als Land nicht entwickelt in dem, was wir ihnen beibringen. Wir haben uns dem geistigen Stand der Kinder nicht angepasst. Ich glaube, sie sind weit voraus und brauchen viel mehr. Und wir haben die Leute dafür. Man muss uns nur erlauben, sie zu unterrichten. Mit all deiner Kraft, Mann, reiß die Fäuste hoch und lauf raus an vorderste Front. Kämpf für die Kinder. Jetzt ist die Zeit gekommen, diese Energie aufzubauen, die Familie zu vergrößern durch Synergie. Mit all deiner Kraft, Mann, reiß die Fäuste hoch und lauf raus an die vorderste Front. Kämpf für die Kinder. Jetzt ist die Zeit gekommen, diese Energie aufzubauen, die Familie zu vergrößern durch Synergie.
The educational paradigm is shifting.
Das Erziehungsparadigma verändert sich. Es muss für die heutigen Kinder etwas geben, damit sie sich in einer sicheren geistigen Umgebung aufgezogen fühlen, wo sie voll und ganz so sein dürfen, wie sie sind. Wir haben einen Prototyp für einen neuen Schultyp entwickelt. ein Unterhaltungs- und Bildungszentrum in der Gemeinde. Es ist ein Platz, der vollkommen von Kindern geführt wird. Hier sind alle Altersstufen zusammen. Im Grunde ist es nichts anderes als ein Einraum-Schulhaus in einer aufgepeppten Umgebung, das uns erlaubt, authentisches Erleben zuzulassen.
Wahres Lehren hilft dabei, die Talente, die jedes dieser Kinder hat, zu entfalten. Aber es hilft ihnen auch zu erkennen, dass nicht alle Begabungen gleich sind.
HSP ist ein Mechanismus im Gehirn, der es uns ermöglicht, alles zu erschaffen, was wir wollen, sofern wir uns dazu entschließen.
HSP steht für erhöhte Sinneswahrnehmung. Wenn es uns gelingt, unsere Sinneswahrnehmung zu schärfen, können wir Entscheidungen treffen, auf die wir stolz sind und haben größeres Selbstvertrauen. Und das führt zu einer gesünderen und friedlicheren Perspektive. Dr. Lee wollte beweisen, dass alle Kinder mit etwas Training ihr HSP-Potenzial entfalten können. Nachdem er die ersten Kinder trainiert hatte, stellte es sich heraus, dass sie vor diesem Training keine außergewöhnlichen Fähigkeiten besaßen. Sie hatten sie noch nicht eingesetzt. Sogar nach nur wenig Training zeigten sie ganz erstaunliche Ergebnisse.
Some of the HSP testing and training that the students got a chance to participate with.
Bei einer Übung musste man mit verbundenen Augen Formen, Farben und sogar Wörter erkennen. Andere Schüler konnten üben, Löffel zu verbiegen und durch den Einsatz von Geisteskräften zu bewirken, dass Löffel an ihrem Körper anhafteten. Anfangs schaffte keiner der Teilnehmer diese Übungen. Nach dem Training, bei dem die Schüler viel Spaß hatten und sich eine Ich-schaff-das-Einstellung bei ihnen entwickelte, konnten über 25% die erste Übung und über 33% die zweite Übung mit Erfolg durchführen.
33% of students or more experience success using the spoons.
Ich habe erfreut festgestellt, dass mit entsprechendem Training jeder fähig ist, diese Aufgaben zu bewältigen, und habe erkannt, dass das durch einen Mechanismus im Gehirn möglich ist.
In Ashton, Oregon, wurde später ein weiteres Training durchgeführt und bestätigte die ersten Ergebnisse. Eine Gruppe von 44 amerikanischen Kindern, die anfangs ebenfalls über keine besonderen Fähigkeiten verfügten, brachte am Ende erstaunliche Dinge zuwege, indem sie ihr Gehirn und ihre Entscheidung benutzten.
Step
1 of saving the world begins in our daily lives. First thing to do is be happy. It's one of the most important things. It's scientifically proven to be healthy, and it's contagious. So if you're happy and you're in a public area, and you get my meaning, don't you? I would consider myself to be a peacemaker. I'd say that, you know, I've got a lot of ideas in my head about peace that I think sometimes I feel like are almost common sense to me, but might not be to, you know, the rest of the world. As far as our Western civilization goes, yeah, we have been thinking about ourselves and what we're doing right now. I know that the Native American tribes, way back when, were into, you know, whatever, this action affects the next 7 generations, and we need to watch, you know, what would happen if we do carry out this action. So they had it right. We just need to figure out what they're talking about now. If I could say one thing to the leaders of the world, it would be that we're all working towards one goal, which is peace. There's no people who are working against peace in the world, I believe. Stand up for what you believe in. Yes. We all know what we need to do to save the world, really. We all have our own special calling. We know what the politicians need to do. And unfortunately, sometimes the politicians don't seem to know what we want them to do. That's because we're not getting it out there. And I thought, wow, you know, I've always wanted to do something to save the world, but I couldn't think of anything to do up until that point, really. I couldn't think, so what could I do? So I had the idea to write the pamphlet, which had led me to the idea that, wait a second, maybe other people have that problem. They want to do something good, they can't figure out what to do. In my booklet, I suggested trying to pick up one piece of trash a day. And if you think about that, there's plenty of trash in the world, but there's also 300-something million people in the U.S. alone. And imagine if we all picked up one piece of trash. You think one bag, what difference does it make? 300 million bags makes a big difference. An indigo child is really hard to define because there's no really definite definition. But, in a phrase, I think it would be, somebody who who has ideas about how they can make the world a better place. If they were to say, oh, you're naive, you're a child, I'd say, exactly, I'm a child, which is why I'm not burdened with the sense of, oh, well, the world's screwed. No, the world's not screwed. We can turn it around. We just have to get work on it. If each single person in the whole world thinks, oh, one person can't change it, nothing happens. If each person thinks, well, one person can't change the world, but one person can do a little bit, each person does a little bit, it adds up, and we've got the golden age again.
Indigos in the native community is very much a phenomenon, but
Indigo-Kinder kamen bei den Indianern sehr häufig vor. Aber im Laufe der Geschichte haben die Weißen ein Indianerkind, das als etwas Besonderes galt, seinen Eltern einfach weggenommen und in eine Schule für Weiße gesteckt. Es gibt also zweifellos Indigos unter den Indianern.
The children of our culture as well as other children in the world are very important to us.
Die Kinder unserer Kultur und auch die anderen Kinder in der Welt sind sehr wichtig für uns, weil viele von ihnen sehr klug sind. Kinder wollen Aufmerksamkeit und sie wollen lernen. Kinder der ganzen Welt lehren unserer Generation und lehrten der Generation vor mir die Bedeutung unseres Daseins. Wir müssen den Kindern zuhören.
Wenn wir nicht zu heilen beginnen, gibt es keine Zukunft für unsere Kinder. Das ist etwas, das unsere Vorfahren vorausgesagt haben, dass unser Leben als Hobby zu existieren aufhört, wenn wir nicht aufwachen und harmonisch miteinander leben. Und unsere Philosophie, das, was wir Hopi hier für die gesamte Menschheit tun, für alle Lebewesen, wird dann ebenfalls aufhören zu existieren. Deshalb müssen wir alle, nicht nur wir Eltern, sondern die Menschen auf der ganzen Welt uns vereinen und verbinden, damit wir wieder ins Gleichgewicht kommen.
Wir sind alle Menschen und wir sind alle sehr wichtig, besonders für Mutter Erde. Masaru ist unser Schöpfer und wir müssen ihn respektieren. Wenn wir das nicht tun, wird er sich abwenden und uns wahrscheinlich bestrafen. Sehen Sie sich doch all diese Hurrikans und Erdbeben an, besonders in den Vereinigten Staaten. Mein Großvater hat mir gesagt, wenn wir Mutter Erde missbrauchen und sie ausbeuten, dann kommt unser Schöpfer zurück und erinnert uns daran, nicht habgierig nach Land, Wasser oder sonst etwas zu streben.
In unserer Hopi-Kultur besagt eine Prophezeiung, dass wir in Koyaanisqatsi leben werden. Das heißt, in einer verrückten Welt.
Die Welt ist derzeit völlig aus den Fugen geraten und es fehlt auch das Gleichgewicht bei den Hopi. Als Elternteil ist es im Moment für mich sehr schwer, dieses Defizit bei meinen Kindern auszugleichen. Es ist eine Krankheit, aus der wir erwachen müssen.
Ich weiß, dass Leute resigniert was soll's sagen, wenn man versucht, Kinder in der alten Kultur zu unterrichten. Aber solange es noch Hoffnung gibt, dürfen wir das nicht sagen. Wir können das ändern, als Volk, als Ganzes. Die Leute müssen wieder so werden, wie wir als Hopis sein sollen. Ich weiß, dass die Kinder das wollen. Sie wollen wissen, wer sie als Hopi-Kinder sind.
And you know, that's what I see, and I know that the kids really do want that. They really do want to know who they are as Hopi kids.
When we're guiding them to be the leaders of tomorrow, we need.
Wenn sie die Führer von morgen sein sollen, müssen wir ihnen die Wahrheit sagen. Wir können ihnen nicht einfach irgendwas erzählen, wie ihr Leben sein sollte. Die Prophezeiungen sagen, dass wir auf die Kinder achten müssen, weil sie die künftigen Führer unserer Gruppen, Stämme und Gemeinden sind. Wir müssen sie darauf vorbereiten, sie durch ihr junges Leben führen und ihnen die besten Ratschläge erteilen, damit sie, wenn ihre Zeit gekommen ist, unsere Führer sein können.
So that they in turn, when it's their time, can be our leaders in the future.
Das ist zu schaffen. Und wir müssen auf dieses Ziel hinarbeiten. Die Kinder, die heute geboren werden, scheinen bereits sehr viel Software auf ihr System heruntergeladen zu haben. Sie sind ein Sprung in der Evolution und zeigen uns, wohin wir uns als Spezies entwickeln. Ich glaube, diese Kinder können mit mehr geistigen Fähigkeiten aufwarten als wir. Fähigkeiten, die wir alle hatten, die wir aber im Laufe der Jahrhunderte verloren haben.
Sind wir Zeugen einer Evolution? Ich weiß nicht. Glaubt man an Naturkunde und Darwin, dann muss es eine Evolution geben. Wir haben uns nur daran gewöhnt, dass die Evolution so langsam voranschreitet, dass wir sie gar nicht wirklich erkennen können.
Those of us that made a big investment.
Diejenigen unter uns, die stark in diese Kultur investiert haben und das Bewusstsein verändern wollen, wollen die Kinder so haben, wie sie sind.
We want the children to be that way.
Sonst hätten unsere Aktionen doch keinen Sinn gehabt.
Actions aren't justified.
Wir befinden uns in einer beispiellosen Veränderung des menschlichen Bewusstseins. Und diese Transformation verändert die gesamte menschliche Erfahrung. Das geschieht bei Millionen Menschen in, wie ich glaube, nur wenigen Generationen. So werden einerseits Kinder mit dieser neuen, erweiterten Wahrnehmung geboren. Andererseits wird die Wahrnehmung bei den bereits auf der Erde lebenden Menschen erweitert.
Wir sind Zeuge der menschlichen Evolution. So wie wir uns zu Lebewesen mit gegenübergestellten Daumen entwickelt haben, entwickelt sich nun die menschliche Spezies zu telepathischen Geschöpfen.
Wir können dieses Phänomen nennen, wie wir wollen. Es ist ein Element, das real ist. Es geschieht. Und ich glaube, dass die rasche Veränderung von Technologie und Wissenschaft der Grund dafür ist. Es geht in der Welt letztendlich nicht um schwierige Theorien oder lange mathematische Gleichungen oder was auch immer. Es geht vielmehr um Menschen, ihr Bewusstsein und ihr Herz. Wir sind Pioniere einer neuen Menschheit. Das heißt nicht, dass wir besser sind oder besser sein werden. Es ist unmöglich, besser zu sein. Aus der Sicht des Universums kannst du nicht weniger wertvoll sein als irgendein anderer oder irgendetwas. Alles ist kostbar.
Die Kinder sind unsere Zukunft. Und sie sind da, um uns das neue goldene Zeitalter zu zeigen, in dem die Liebe über die Angst und das Wissen über die Unwissenheit triumphiert.
Walking through the pop universe, my fingers rattle the hourglass aisles. As the time sings in the crossroad of hope, I'm a brush painting for miles. Every letter of the names I sit on just hangs on the family space tree. Which knowledge lock should I pick as Providence chisels a galaxy key? Balancing myself on just one finger, at first I thought that everything was white. From universe to universe, I jump alone just to find out I'm still a child.
Das große Ereignis ist nicht das Erscheinen von Indigo-Kindern, sondern die Geburt einer Indigo-Welt.
Meine Botschaft als Indigo, als Mensch, als Kind Gottes wurde knapp und präzise von Bill und Ted in ihrem Buch Ein außergewöhnliches Abenteuer ausgedrückt. Sie lautet: Tut das Beste füreinander.
Hi, my name is Phil Gruber. There's a unique word in the Greek language, and this word is pathos, P-O-T-H-O-S, and it means a longing, a deep, deep, deep longing. I think it's this sense of longing that is at the core of our individual collective pain and sadness, a feeling that as a result of a fall perhaps, we were cast down, cut off, exiled from a pre-existent state of grace that many people choose to call Tara, heaven. Tolkien called it Valinor. I think it is this sense, this is the primal wound, the primal sacred wound that we look to heal each and every time we incarnate on the earth plane. There still seems to be this unquenchable thirst in the human spirit, in the human mind, and the human heart to recover what Tolkien called the Silmarillion, the radiance of pure light we know ourselves to be before we entered these cycles of incarnation. We long for that return to innocence. We long for that universe of which we were once so intimately a part. I think the Indigos are here to remind us of those parts of ourselves that we either never knew existed or have merely forgotten. The reason that Indigos are called Indigos is because for a very, very long time now, that clairvoyants and psychics have been able to see that color, that wavelength, the indigo color in the auric fields, the biofields, especially of children. Why children? Because it's their life force, it's their vitality that renders these colors more visible. But why is there a predominance of the indigo wavelength, that color, in their auric fields? It's because all indigos birth in with portions of the 5th, especially the 6th DNA strands operational. When we begin to understand more about the DNA, we discover that each DNA strand is like a lens, an electromagnetic lens, that allows one-dimensional wavelength to come into the body, to be embodied, to be expressed through whatever vehicle we happen to be focused through at the time. The reason there is that wavelength, that color indigo, in the auric fields of all indigos is because indigos come in again with portions of the 5th and 6th strands operational. Each DNA strand is electromagnetically coded to process one dimension of consciousness, one dimension of ourselves that's stationed in the higher dimensional fields, and that portion of ourselves that's stationed in the 6th dimension we normally, commonly refer to as our soul matrix, or the angelic portions of our own multidimensional identities. So if you're processing the consciousness of the 6th dimension, again, those parts of ourselves and others that are stationed in the 6th dimension, you will see, if you're psychic enough to see it, you will see a predominance of the indigo wavelength, that color, because that color represents the consciousness, again, of ourselves and others that's stationed in the 6th dimension. And how we can process that consciousness, how we can bring it in, is because we have those DNA strands operational. The whole thing about indigos is we are distinguished by one thing and one thing only. It's our expanded DNA templates and the fact that we birth in with more operational DNA. Each DNA strand, again, is a lens, like a pair of glasses, that allows one-dimensional wavelength to come in and to be able to understand itself, to be read. The indigos are incarnates of an elder race. The indigos have been known by many, many names throughout time, such as the Blue Ray Children, the Blue Star Children, Paradisians, Melchizedeks. The fact is that the indigos have been coming in for hundreds of years, waves and waves and waves, successive waves of indigos have been coming in for 100 years, certainly the last 100 years. And the indigos always come in when the planet is experiencing what it is experiencing now, which has been commonly called the shift of the ages. It's an ascension cycle where starting around 2000, the beginning of 2000, there's been a progressive alignment of interdimensional stargates. And because of that alignment of interdimensional stargates, higher and higher dimensional wave spectra, frequencies, consciousness of ourselves and others stationed in the higher dimensions are being projected onto the earth and through our bodies. With a critical mass of indigos alive, awake, and aware on this planet, given the expanded genetic templates of all indigos on this planet, they can hold the planet steady when the planet is being projected with these higher dimensional wavelengths. So the planet doesn't go into major upheavals or earth changes. The indigos are here as they've always come throughout time, even in our pre-ancient history, to remind all of humanity of an agreement, of a covenant we've made with ourselves a very, very long time ago. The Indigos are here to remind us of our intrinsic, indelible divinity, our eternal connection to the divine, the fact that we all, every one of us and everything, is a simultaneous expression of the one unifying consciousness that many choose to call God, Source, or all that is. The Indigos are here. The reason they've always come is to help bridge heaven and earth. Heaven is a version of earth that's stationed in higher dimensional fields, just as we have higher parts of ourselves that we understand as the soul, or the angelic, more expanded parts of ourselves that we will evolve into. The earth has an angelic self as well. There is a version of earth that's stationed in the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimensional bands, a piece of it, basically stationed in the 5th dimension. And that planet is called by many Tara. Tolkien called it Valinor. It's also known as the blue stone or the blue pearl. It also exists in the future, because what needs to be understood more fully is that the higher dimensions represent bands of future time. The higher you go up on the dimensional scale, the more in future time you're going. Very important to understand. For example, when our angelic selves, when our souls have past life therapy, when they're on the couch getting regressed, who do you think it is that they're contacting to make more sense of their lives? Guess what? It's us. We are the past lives of our future selves. That's important to understand because many of the Indigos, they incarnate from future time. The Indigos are a future race. They are a future race, and they come from the heavenly fields. They come from many, many heavens. Many, many heavens. Higher dimensional fields, again, remember, represent future time. When the Indigos come, they're coming from the future onto the earth. They're helping to bridge Earth's future with Earth's past before the fall. And every time the Indigos birth in, when they can birth in, they bring a little piece of heaven with them. They're helping to bridge the future and the past in the now, in the eternal, ever-present now moment. So if there's a critical mass of Indigos alive, awake, and aware on this planet, heaven can be bridged with Earth. The electromagnetic fields that link Earth and Tara, Valinor, heaven, whatever you want to call it, they will link, and you will see heaven fully manifested on Earth. The Indigos come from the future. They are a future race, incarnating, actually projecting portions of themselves, individuating on rays of light, projecting themselves out of larger collectives we understand as the soul, or the oversoul, or the avatar, or the rishi, or even ascended master collectives. They project their consciousness out of those collectives, and they pass through sets of stargates onto the earth from future time, and by incarnating here from the future, they bring more of the future to bear on earth. In truth, they bring more of heaven to bear on earth. Heaven is Earth's future. The angels are our future. We will evolve to become angels, just as the earth will evolve to become heaven. Heaven is the future of earth, just like angels are our future. It is our evolutionary destiny. Once again, for the first time in a very, very, very long time, we are being given the opportunity to take our place among angelics, as allies and as equals, because the truth is the Indigos are not a new genetic strain. They're not a new species. The Indigos are here to return the original pattern of perfection, the original human imprint to all of humanity. That 12-strand DNA imprint that all Indigos share, the technical name for that 12-strand DNA template is the silicate matrix, more commonly known as the crystal gene. And that's why all Indigos are called crystals. With very few exceptions, we are star seeds, we are star children, we are star people. We've incarnated through sets of stargates to come to this planet, again to remind all of humanity of a promise, a covenant, an agreement we've made with ourselves a very, very, very long time ago, but in truth, no farther away than our next moment, our next heartbeat, our next breath, already here, waiting for us to fulfill that covenant we made with ourselves a very long time ago. in a pre-existent paradise that many people choose to call heaven. The original mission of the Indigos, if the purpose of the Indigos, if not their main purpose for incarnating on the planet now, is to restore to this planet and all its inhabitants the Christos blueprint, our original 12-strand DNA imprint, the pattern, the Holy Grail, the pattern upon and through which we were first designed and fashioned as angelic humans before the fall. This is the greater purpose of the Indigos. To reestablish the Christos blueprint on this planet and to everyone on this planet, the true inner Christos, which is our 12-strand DNA imprint, the pattern of the original angelic human. Every time an indigo incarnates on this planet, and all indigos can't always get to incarnate, can't always get to come into fetal integration, and they wait and they wait and they wait and wait till they can birth in fully with all their gifts, talents, and blessings intact. But every time an indigo births in, they leave within the morphogenetic field of this planet. They leave that imprint of the 12-strand DNA pattern, that crystal gene. And if there's a critical mass of indigos, again, alive, awake, and aware on the planet, it will bleed over into the full race morphogenetic field, that original pattern of the angelic human. The indigos are here to restore to the planet and to everyone on it the full Christos blueprint that we were first designed with, our original pattern of perfection, the pattern of the what's called the Adam Kadmon, or the Great Fool, the original human being, a race that was designed to be planetary guardians, to be healers, to be lighthouses, to be a race that could be a redemptive force for all those who exist here in this time matrix. There are many indigos that birth in, and they birth in through parental patterns that carry many, many layers of what's called a karmic miasmic imprint, manifestations of disharmonic thought patterns generated by their parents or generations backwards in time, or past lives who directly interface with us now. They begin to progressively forget why they've come in, what their missions are, what their contracts are. Encoded, retained within the genetic template, within the lost, broken fragments of the DNA within all indigos on this planet, is not only the lost history of our race, the memory of the lost history of our race, our purpose for being. Not only that, but the true keys of the ascension of this planet and everyone on it. This is the path of grace. This is the evolutionary blueprint of the human race that's being restored now, that's being remembered by beings coming in that have that memory, that have come from the future, again to remind us of our indelible, intrinsic divinity, to help us understand, to help us remember that all of us, that everything in creation is a simultaneous expression of the one unifying force that many people choose to call God, Source, all that is, to help to remind us to see every act as an exercise in ecstatic fulfillment, to see the sacred in everything. Many of us walk through life half asleep, half awake, like orphans of the storm. Don't many of us feel on spiritual levels that we feel orphaned, that we feel abandoned? The true Grail quest is about setting ourselves free. We always carry the Grail within us. It's been the ignorance of this existence that has bound us here for untold eons.
I'm a spiritual explorer. I believe I've been a spiritual explorer all my life, although I never thought about it in those terms until the last 20 or so years. But I've always wanted to go to the heart of the matter, to the very heart of the matter. When I enlisted in the military, I knew that I wanted to be a fighter pilot, but I couldn't because of my vision. So I enlisted in the Army, and I knew that I had to be in the infantry. And then I knew I had to be in the airborne, and then I knew I had to be a Green Beret. When I wrote a book on physics, I had to go to the very heart of it. And I still feel that way about my life, and now I have finally found the heart of it, and ironically, it's really the heart. And that's where I like to go. And there's a lot of discipline I've discovered that's required to stay in my heart, because I have parts of me that are not heart-centered. I have parts of me that are greedy. I have parts of me that are angry. I have parts of me that are judgmental. And I look at it as my job to find those parts, not to go to war with them, but to recognize them, to find them in me so that I know them when they are there, and I can challenge them and change them with my own willpower. That to me is going to the heart of spiritual development. And so I'm a spiritual explorer. I'm an explorer of the heart. I have at my facility an intellect, and at one time while I was wandering around in my intellect, I had no idea that there was any place else to wander around, but there is, and that's what I love to explore. What I know of the term indigo children is that they are seen to be children who are born with special perception, or special wisdom, or special compassion. For me, all children are indigo children. I believe, furthermore, that all of us are becoming, or have the potential to become, indigo adults. So for me, I honor that there are children who are very special. However, I have not met one yet that is not or does not have the capability of becoming very special. And that, by the way, is not simply because all children are special, all children are born close to divinity, all children are born with memories and knowledge that has become soft in us, or in many of us, but because we are in the midst of an unprecedented, huge transformation in human consciousness. And this transformation in human consciousness is reshaping the human experience. It is reshaping it for millions of individuals, and within, in my opinion, just a few generations it will have reshaped the entirety of the human experience. And so it is creating children who are being born with this new expanded perception, and it is expanding the perception of those of us who are already walking upon this earth. And so when I speak of a transformation in consciousness, it is for me not one that is limited to neonates or to the young or to the middle-aged or to young adults or to the elderly. It is a transformation of consciousness that is making itself felt and known in its own way to the young, the old, those who are growing, in every culture, in every economic circumstance. Both sexes, all races, and all religions. This great transformation in consciousness is the expansion, and in some cases the explosion, of human perception beyond the limitations of the five senses. The five senses taken together are a single sensory system, and their object of detection is physical reality. That's all they're designed to detect. That's all they ever will detect. However, as we expand in our perceptual capability beyond those limitations, as what cannot be tasted and touched and smelled and seen with the eyes and heard with the ears becomes somehow known to us, our universe grows immensely. And that is happening to many of us now, to millions of us. In other words, from our origin until very recently, we were a five-sensory species. We were limited in our perception, for the most part, that means most of us, to what the five senses could provide for us. And we took that data and we analyzed it, compared it, deduced and concluded with our intellect. And that was the combination, the five senses and the intellect, that allowed us to move from our origin to where we are now, that allowed us to survive. Now we have crossed a threshold. We are in new territory. And the new territory is a species that is becoming aware that it is more than physical. And this new awareness is emerging in us one by one by one by one. It's emerging in me and it's emerging in you. Each of us in our own way are beginning to know somehow that we are more than minds, more than bodies, that we are more than molecules and enzymes, that this universe of ours is more than physical. We sometimes can't explain what we know. Sometimes it's more like a feeling of knowledge. We're becoming highly intuitive. Multisensory perception is perception of meaning. It's meaning in what occurs around you. Sometimes, as you become multisensory, you begin to see meaning in your interaction with other people. In your mundane experiences, you have a sense of perfection in the moment. That perfection is in the moment, it's in the eternal moment. It's always there, and you get a glimpse of it. That's multisensory perception. Sometimes you get the feeling that the person you're with is exactly the person you should be with. That's always the case, and that's multisensory perception. Carl Jung, a great psychologist, described experiences of coincidence that are unmistakably meaningful and inexplicable as synchronistic. I believe he created that term. All of your life is synchronistic. All of your life is meaningful, and there is no such thing as a coincidence in it. That is a multisensory perception. It's not a deduction, it's not theory. And millions of individuals are becoming aware that their lives have meaning, that they are more than they thought they were, that there's more to this world than they thought this world was. And that is multisensory perception, some of the experiences of it. As we become multisensory, we begin to understand that there is more to each of us than this body, this personality that was born and that will die. There is an immortal part of you. I call that the soul. Perhaps you have another name for it, but whatever name you use, although soul is a beautiful name, it is that part that existed before you were born and that will exist after you die. As we become multisensory, we begin to identify each of us with our soul first and our personality second. While we are walking on this earth, while we feel the sun on our shoulders, while we are in power struggles, while we are striving, while we are angry, we have a sense of more happening. That more happening is our non-physical being, the soul, becoming visible in its own way, in our own ways to us while we live on the earth. This is multisensory perception. We are becoming a multisensory humanity. And the goal of multisensory humanity is no longer merely survival. That was the goal of five-sensory humanity. The goal of multisensory humanity is spiritual growth, spiritual development, the creation of authentic power, real power. What does that mean? Multisensory humans can begin to understand this new way of looking at power because it's meaningful to them. Five-sensory humans see power as the ability to manipulate and to control. The more power you have, the more ability you have to change things that are outside of you. If you have a lot of money, that gives you external power. If you have a beautiful appearance, that gives you external power because you can manipulate and control people with it. If you are strong, if you can crush beer cans without thinking about it, if you intimidate people with your sheer bulk and size or muscle, that is external power. If you are the president of your social club, of your school, of your state, of your country, that is external power. Now here's one thing about external power. It's not permanent. It comes and it goes. If you won this election, you might win another, but you're going to lose the next. If you have a beautiful appearance that can manipulate people, that will change. If you have a sharp mind, that may change too. If your portfolio is very full and you are wealthy, that will change. External power has no permanency to it. When somebody doesn't have external power, they are frightened that they're not going to get it, that other people have more, and therefore those who have it are intimidating or frightening. This is a perception that many people have had. The famous philosopher Hobbes once said, "Life is nasty, brutish, and short." What kind of worldview is that? It's not mine, but it is the worldview of someone who doesn't have much external power and is frightened about it. Real power is the alignment of you with the highest part of yourself that you can possibly reach for. It's the alignment of your personality with your soul. It's the alignment of you, your personality, with the part of you that wants harmony, that longs for cooperation, that wants to share, and that reveres life. As you bring yourself into alignment with these intentions of your soul, you become an authentically empowered being. You become engaged in the present moment. You forget to be frightened. You know that you're alive for a reason and that you're living that reason. No matter what happens, even if other people would consider it tragic, you know that it's meaningful. You know that it assists you in your reason for being on this earth, which is spiritual growth, which is to develop the ability to allow the energy of your soul to flow through you effortlessly and into the earth school, so that harmony and cooperation and sharing and reverence for life become your hunger and your thirst also. And you love to quench your thirst. You love to eat. You love to create harmony. You love to cooperate. You share naturally. And you revere life. That's life with a capital L. Authentic power is a life of meaning and purpose, of joy, of delight in being alive, of bliss. There are qualities to an authentically empowered human. You can see how many you have. An authentically empowered human. Well, the qualities are these: forgiveness, humbleness, clarity, love. How would you like to live a life of humbleness, clarity, forgiveness, and love? I feel that that's your evolutionary goal. I feel that's the life you were born to live, and the life that I was born to live. But to live it, we have to create it. Now, I've shared this to explain one thing. This great transformation in human consciousness will not make you happy. It will not even make you happier if you're already happy. It will help you to see more. It will show you more of what you are and what others are. It will reveal yourself. It will reveal you to yourself as an essence that is more than your physical appearance and your physical being. Now, with this expanded perception comes a new potential, and it's up to you to create that new potential in your life, to create authentic power. Indigo children, indigo adults, indigo elderly, all have this expanded perception that is becoming the human perception. It is up to each of them, just as it's up to me and it's up to you, to use that new perception to see what you can change in yourself, not others, in yourself, to create the life of meaning and joy and purpose and fulfillment that is calling you and will continue to call you. Do you like your life the way it is? Are you happy with the routine that you have? If so, continue it. Continue to do it. But if you feel that there's something more waiting for you, if you feel that there's something more that you can give, something more that you can experience, then open your mind, open your heart to what this film is suggesting to you. Open your mind, open your heart to what the people in this film are showing you. Consider the possibility that it may be real. Consider the possibility that you have the potential to make it real in your life. For most of my life, I was very angry. And also for a good part of my life, I was a sex addict. And the two combined just like that. I was angry and I was always looking for sex. I was angry at the world. I was judgmental of other people. I rode motorcycles. I drove high-performance cars. I joined the Army, volunteered for the airborne, after the infantry, and then for the special forces. Went to Vietnam because I had a tremendous amount of anger in me. And what I didn't understand at the time was I had a tremendous desire to feel worthy, to feel as though I were admirable, to feel as though I had a right to be alive. And I wanted people to like me. Actually, I thought to myself, I don't care if they like me, but they're going to respect me. I couldn't see that underneath. I really wanted to feel as though I belonged to life. I was macho in the extreme. I'm very grateful that I'm still alive. I'm very grateful that I went to Vietnam wanting so much to kill and came back without killing. I'm grateful for every experience I've had. I'm grateful for wearing a uniform, for carrying a weapon and wearing a green beret. I'm grateful even for being a sex addict because it helped me see the depths of powerlessness. I visited them, and while I was there, all I could think of was having sex. Maybe you have visited the depths of powerlessness. Maybe you have a need to eat, or to shop, or to drink, or to use drugs, or to gamble, or to smoke. Maybe you can't stop getting into power struggles. Maybe you can't stop criticizing people in your mind. Maybe you have to work 12 or 14 hours a day and come home exhausted. Maybe you have to turn on the TV and blank out for 3 hours a night. Maybe you've got to have that beer. Maybe you're frightened to speak to the people in your life, even those across the dinner table from you. These are all experiences of powerlessness. And as you begin to recognize them as frightened parts of your personality, not as who you are, but as frightened parts of your personality that you were born to identify and to change, as you begin to realize that you were not born to spend your entire life shopping or having sex or watching pornography or drinking or discussing sports or business or the stock market, that you were born to give, that you were born to receive, that you were born to be loved, that you were born to love, and that you have within you that capability, and that you long to step into it. As you begin to see these things, you begin to long for these things. You begin to want to create authentic power, and that is natural. That is natural, my friend. Where is this great transformation in consciousness taking us? It is taking us wherever we want to go. The great transformation of consciousness is not a destiny that is thrust upon us. The universe does not burden us with a destiny, but it does give us a new potential, the potential of the universal human, a human that is beyond nation, beyond religion, beyond culture, beyond race, beyond sex, beyond economic circumstance, a human whose allegiance is to life first and to all else second. A human who is a citizen of the universe with a capital U. That is our potential. The great transformation of consciousness shows each of us what is now possible, and what is now possible is a planet without conflict, inhabited by authentically empowered humans in the service of life, humble, clear, forgiving, and loving, sharing, cooperating, creating harmony naturally, and revering life. That is where I intend with all my heart that we go. Where are you going? What is your intention? As you begin to touch your own heart, as you begin to find what's meaningful to you, you will find emerging some things with more clarity than others. One of the things that will emerge in you is that your life is meaningful, that you have a reason for being alive, and that reason has to do with what you can give to this world, what you can give to the Earth School. What can you give more than your love? The qualities of an authentically empowered human are forgiveness, humbleness, clarity, and love. Love is the big one. Love is the one that encompasses all of the others, and love is not an emotion. Love is a way of being. Love is, it is knowing that when you love, there is nothing that you can love that is not you. There is no way to separate yourself from love. That love heals everything, and that there is nothing but love. You were born to love, and yet so much stands in your way. All that stands in your way is not an obstacle. All that stands in your way are those parts of your personality that you were born to heal. That is the spiritual journey, the journey to your soul, the journey into love, into dimensionless, fathomless, boundaryless, and as they say, unconditional love. Peace. What is peace? Does peace simply mean that there is no more war? No, it means much more than that. It means that you have found your home. It means that you live there. It means that you are a conscious, co-creative partner with a wise and compassionate universe. It means that you know that nothing can happen to you that does not support your spiritual growth, that all that occurs in your life is perfect for you given the wisdom of the choices that you have made, and that you can make your choices now with more wisdom than you made your choices in the past. You can bring yourself to peace. You cannot wish it into being, you cannot meditate it into being, you cannot even pray it into being, but you can create it, and that is what you were born to do. You cannot create peace by changing other people, but you can create peace by changing yourself. You can create peace by finding those parts of your personality that have no interest in peace, challenging them when they come up. When you become impatient, challenging them. When you become angry, deciding not to act in anger. When you become jealous, experimenting with opening yourself to love. Always experiment with opening yourself to love. But if that's more than you can do without it simply being a phrase, then read the Seat of the Soul and apply what's in it. Always open yourself to love. But to do that requires becoming aware of what you are feeling, becoming aware of your intentions, and choosing them wisely. Realize that everything that you experience is perfect for you to experience, given the wisdom of the choices that you have made, and that you have the ability to make choices now with more wisdom than you used to make your choices in the past. That you can choose your intentions consciously and hopefully choose them wisely. People who are limited to 5 senses think that their actions create consequences. But multisensory humans know that it is the intention behind the action that creates consequences. Every cause has an effect. 5-sensory humans think that a physical action is a cause, but multisensory humans know that the intention behind the action is what creates consequences. In other words, whenever you choose an intention and act on it, you create experiences, you create consequences, and you yourself will encounter those consequences. You are a powerful creator, whether you are aware of it or not. That means that if you're not aware of your intentions, you are creating nonetheless as powerfully as if you were aware of your intentions. You can always tell when you encounter the consequence of an unconscious intention. It's painful. So it makes sense to start to become as aware as you can of your intention so that you can begin to create the experiences that you want to create. Intention is the key. Intention is the creative dynamic. When you choose an intention, you create consequences. When you choose it consciously, you create consequences consciously. This is how you become an artist in your life. This is how you begin to gain mastery in your life. So you don't have to wonder, why did this happen to me? How could that have happened to me? You can look at your intentions and see how you created it. And even if you can't see how you created it, you can ask the question, how could I have possibly created this? And if there is no reason within this lifetime that you can arrive at, then you can utilize the perception of the soul. Then you can know that the cause occurred before you were born. This is what in the East is called karma, and we in the West call the golden rule. There are a lot of things that occur in your life for which there is no explanation within this life. For example, the color of your skin, the color of your hair, your eyes, your race, your parents, your sibling. 5 sensory humans call that chance or random. Chance and random are artificial concepts that 5 sensory humans have created in order to express the thought, I don't know, but I do know that there is no answer. There is no answer that the 5 senses can provide. Multisensory humans know that there are answers, that every effect has a cause, and the cause is always an intention. Now, once you find your intention, and you set your intention, and you hold your intention, and if it's an intention that you hold with all your heart, then take your hands off the steering wheel. Then say to the universe, thy will be done. Say it in your meditation, say it in your prayers, say it as you set your intention, because you do not know what the universe has in store for you or has in store for others. Don't think that you know how the universe works, or be disappointed when it doesn't work the way you think it should work. Trust in a higher power is the last step to putting your own authentic power into place. Have you heard the saying, don't worry, be happy? That's a recipe for disaster. Try it out and see if I'm right or I'm wrong. But I can turn that recipe for disaster into a recipe for fulfillment. All it needs is one more ingredient. Do your best. Then the recipe becomes, do your best. Don't worry, be happy. That recipe will take you where you want to go. It will take you where you were born to go. It will take you into your heart. It will take you into the wisdom and compassion that you were born to live and to express and to share and to give and to receive. It will take you into authentic power. Now, when we discuss intention, be aware that the terrain of human experience has shifted. It shifted from the limitations of 5 sensory perception to the expanded perception of a humanity that is no longer limited only to the perceptions of the 5 senses. The groundwork of human experience has shifted. Before, our species was one that strove to survive, to create the ability to manipulate and to control in order to enhance its ability to survive. In other words, it pursued external power, power over those things that are external. That was good medicine. That brought us from the origin of our species until very recently. Now, it is no longer good medicine. It is poison. It is toxic. The pursuit of external power now produces only violence and destruction. It cannot produce anything else. I offer this to you as I offer everything that I have shared with you as a way of looking at the world that's been meaningful to me, and I hope that it will be meaningful to you. So I suggest that you consider this as an hypothesis, and hypotheses that you can bring into your life and experiment. That makes you a scientist of the soul, and your life is the laboratory. I am suggesting that your life is meaningful, that you are worthy, that you are born for a purpose, and that as you find and follow that purpose, your life fills with meaning. I am suggesting that as you attempt to control and manipulate others, you will create only violence and destruction. That the pursuit of external power produces violence and destruction between nations, between corporations, between individuals, between siblings, wherever it is pursued. That the only thing that will work now is the pursuit of authentic power, the alignment of your personality with your soul, the creation of your ability to share, to create harmony, to revere life. If your intention is to manipulate others, you will create consequences, but they will be painful for you. So if you do your best to manipulate someone else, you will encounter other people doing their best to manipulate you, and that will be painful. If you are doing your best to exploit other people, you will encounter other people doing their best to exploit you. If you are doing your best to be helpful in the world, you will encounter other people who are doing their best to be helpful to you. If you are doing your best to be helpful because you want other people to be helpful for you, in other words, you have a second agenda, you will encounter other people who have second agendas with you. It's as clear, as transparent, as powerful and compassionate a dynamic as that. So be aware of your intentions. Be aware of your intentions, because to do so puts you in a powerful position to begin to be the change that you want to see in the world. Those are Gandhi's words, and I love them very much. If you want this world to be more kind, become more kind yourself. Make that your intention. If you want this world to become more loving yourself. Make that your intention. If you want this world to become less violent yourself. And as you set those kinds of intentions, you invoke healing. And when you invoke healing, the universe comes to your assistance. And all of those parts of your personality that do not want to be healed come to the surface of your awareness so that you can heal them. So do not think that you can say, I intend to become a kind person, and not encounter all of the parts of yourself that are brutally insensitive, exploitative, impatient, and do not care. Because those are the parts of your personality that you must become familiar with and change in order to become what you have set the intention to become, which is a kind person. When you begin to see these things and to utilize them in your life, you are on the spiritual path, no matter what you call it. You are on a journey toward your soul. You are creating authentic power. And you are beginning to use your life as it was designed to be used. This is good news. This is good news. This is the best news.
I first became aware of the phenomenon of indigo people. They're no longer children as a whole. Most of them are now young adults. And I first became aware of indigos in my travels around the world, talking about my books. And I had a lot of indigos come to my workshops and tell me that they were connecting with their angels, since that's my major topic I write and speak about, and that indigos were also meeting spirits that were not necessarily benevolent. And these spirits were in their bedrooms and causing them to have insomnia. Since I knew insomnia was correlated with hyperactivity, and that a high number of these children were being diagnosed as ADHD, or attention deficit with hyperactivity disorder, I started to explore this phenomenon. You know, when I was growing up, everybody talked about you know, that there's monsters in the closet or alligators under your bed. What these indigos told me was much, much beyond the childhood tales that would frighten us. And as someone who really espouses and lives positive thinking, at first I didn't want to hear what these children were telling me about seeing darker spirits in their bedrooms. But since children in Australia, in Asia, Europe, the UK, and all throughout America were telling me the same thing, I thought this bears exploring. And what I found is that the indigos are extremely sensitive people. And they're sensitive on all levels. They're sensitive to energy. So these are people who easily can see and converse with spirits, such as angels, deceased pets and relatives, spirits that we wouldn't consider friendly, and everything in between. And they're just born psychic. Fortunately, a lot of these indigos are born to another generation that preceded them we call the light workers. And light workers are also very sensitive people, not quite so sensitive as indigos. And these light worker parents are very allowing of the psychic abilities of the indigos. So a lot of the indigos didn't get their psychic abilities shut down as prior generations did. The indigos are highly sensitive to any kind of chemical, and that includes food additives, it includes chemicals that are in laundry detergent, shampoos, lotions, toothpaste, chemicals that are in the air, certainly. They're extremely sensitive to emotions. They can feel other people's pain as if it's their own, and sometimes an indigo doesn't know how to handle all those emotions. To me, the definition of an indigo is someone who's highly sensitive with a warrior personality. A warrior personality means it's someone who's here to lead and to take charge. I think of Joan of Arc as a perfect early example of an indigo, because Joan of Arc, as you may know, was a 14-year-old farm girl in southern France who talked to angels. She talked to Archangel Michael. She also talked to the saints, Catherine and Margaret. And they told her that they wanted her to lead France in a revolution, to take back France from the English invasion, and that they wanted Joan to put Charles on the throne of France. And here she was, an illiterate, uneducated farm girl, 14 years old. You can imagine what she must have felt like. But as an indigo, they knew that she had that leadership quality where she would follow the divine direction and get the job done. Well, now we're so fortunate on this planet. I really believe that the indigos are answers to our collective prayers for peace. You know, in the 60s and the 70s, there was a lot of activist movements where we wanted to eradicate the Vietnam War, we wanted to bring peace on Earth, but somewhere along the lines, those activists got distracted with family and jobs and such, and basically put down the sword. Now, the indigos are here, and they will not get distracted. The indigos that I talk to worldwide are angry. They're angry about war, they're angry about pollution, they're angry about lack of integrity in governments. They're angry about how children are being taken care of. And they're angry as activists always are angry, and yet it's different. This group has the energy, in my opinion, to take this purpose that they have to lead us into the new energy, what I call the golden age we're going into, and to make sure the job is done. One of the key differences I see in indigos that's not in any other generation, this is as a former psychologist, is that in former generations, if there was an intense energy that the person didn't feel they could handle, or if they were in a situation where there was dishonesty, the person would dissociate from their feelings. For instance, when I was a child in my generation, if we were in school and we thought, you know, what I'm learning doesn't have anything to do with my real life, and we'd question the teacher and we'd say, why do I need to learn this? The teacher would just say, because you have to learn it. And we would all say, okay. And we would shut down our feelings. The indigos do not seem to have the ability to shut down their feelings. They do not dissociate from their feelings unless they use drugs, unless they use self-medication such as marijuana, alcohol, other street drugs, or unless they're prescribed a psychoactive drug like Ritalin. It's the only way they can turn the feelings off. This gives me hope. This shows me that this is a group of individuals who will start the job and take us through to the finish. When I look at the history of the cycles of the world and the dark ages we've been through and the golden ages we've been through, it's a pretty clear pattern. In the dark ages, we lose our spirituality, we lose our integrity, and we only pay attention to the physical and that which we can touch and measure. We become very left brain dominant and very scientific in the traditional sense of science. In the golden ages, we explore spirituality. This is where the beautiful mythology of our world comes from. This is where spiritual healing and enlightenment tools such as music therapy from Pythagoras has come from, and integrity comes from. The indigos have a key characteristic that they have an inborn truth detector. They know when they're being patronized, when they're being manipulated, talked down to, or lied to. And they trust that feeling more than prior generations have. When I talk to people in general around the world, everybody tells me the same thing. They know for a fact that the governments are lying. They know that the media is taking us into a direction that's not truthful. And yet, the older generations seem complacent about this. Yes, I'm frustrated. Yes, I know my government is dishonest and the media is giving us false information. But oh well, what can we do? I'm just going to try and be happy today. The indigos, on the other hand, say, yes, the government's lying, the media is misleading us, and I'm going to do something about it. And you know what? I believe this generation has the energy to do so. I really have teased down that the old energy, the dark ages, can be boiled down into dishonesty and can be boiled down into competition and a belief in greed. And it all comes down to believing that there's not enough to go around, that you have to compete and struggle to get your bills paid and to make sure that you get yours. That's what the dark energy is all about. In the golden energy that we're about to go into, we have remembered that there's plenty to go around for all of us. There's an abundance, that God is all about yes and plenty for everyone. And the indigos know this. They know that instead of competing for your good, you can manifest it, that you can take your heart's true passion and turn it into a service in which you will be paid in return and you'll be fully supported. The indigos also know that dishonesty and greed come from that same fear that there's not enough. So the indigos, with their inner truth detector, know that you can communicate with one another honestly and still get your needs met. You can't lie to an indigo. You absolutely cannot get away with a lie. An indigo only respects someone who is in their integrity. They do not care how much money that person makes, how nice a car they drive, or what fancy suit they're wearing, or if there's a plate in front of their desk that says principal of the school. All the indigo cares about is, does that person have integrity and heart or not? And if the person has integrity, the indigo will relate to them one-on-one. If the person doesn't have integrity, the indigo may give them a try for a while, but then we'll just write them off. And so the indigos are often mislabeled as having no respect for elders or authority. And it's because authority in and of itself isn't valuable in the new energy. What's only valuable is truth. Here's what they show me as a beautiful and healthy vision of our future. As the indigos teach us that we all necessarily have to be honest with ourselves and get our own lives in accordance with integrity and walk the talk and take care of those parts of our life that are unhealed or out of balance and really get our lives in order. And as the indigos literally force us to be honest with each other and speak our truth with love, we're looking at a world where people cannot lie to each other. In my studies and in my research and workshops around the world, people are telling me that they are becoming more aware of their own psychic abilities. More people are having telepathic experiences where they think about someone and the phone call rings, or they think about John Doe and they run into him at the grocery store an hour later. So more and more people, including very mainstream folks, are being aware of their own inborn natural ability to connect mind to mind with the energies. And as we all become and allow ourselves to become more telepathic and more psychic, as we all get in touch with our inner truth detector and learn to trust it instead of denying it and saying, oh, well, maybe I'm not right, this very soon will be a world where it will be absolutely impossible to lie to one another. And it's to that point right now, we're at the brink, where our discernment ability is at its peak. We're able to, for instance, when watching or listening to the news, we can feel, okay, that feels like the truth, it clicks. No, that doesn't feel like it's clicking as the truth. What's needed next is the next step, is to learn to trust our gut. And the indigos already do that, so there are leaders to take us into the golden age of integrity. When that happens, everything's going to shift. They show me that initially there'll be a collapse of old systems, and it may feel like disorganized chaos. Some people may believe it's the apocalypse. And what will be needed is strong leaders to say, no, this is the old scabs of the old cancer falling away. We need to let go of the old so that the new skin, if you will, of the world can be revealed. Because the truth of the world is that it's a reflection of the divine. It's already healed. It's already perfect. It's already whole. It's already complete. And that's the parallel universe we have of the healing that the indigos are here for. But we've got to help them. If we have our indigo children mask their spiritual gifts with substances like Ritalin or fast food that's being sold on school campuses for lunch, then we are literally shackling these children. We're putting them into chemical straitjackets, and they will not be able to save the world that they came to do. One key characteristic of the indigo generation that you always find is a huge amount of what I call existential anger. It's not anger for themselves personally, it's a more generalized anger for the state of the world. And I have found that the indigo generation is passionate about getting in there and doing something about it. You don't find the complacency that you find in prior generations who say, oh well, as if there's some authority figure who's in charge. The indigos know that they're the authority figure, and if it's going to be, it's up to me. The prior activism we've seen in this country has been about the old energy of competition. I'm going to win over you. You're going to lose, I'm going to win. The indigos don't bring in the competitive spirit. They know that cooperation will get you farther than trying to take something away from someone else. So you're seeing more of a Gandhi approach to a peaceful protest, if you will, going on. And yet the indigos, I find, really need our help in learning how to channel their anger constructively. When you have an indigo in your classroom, or if you're a parent of an indigo, the point is not to reduce their anger. The point is not to squelch their anger. The point is to learn how to channel the energy, the beautiful energy of existential angst or existential anger. Channel it constructively. So, in my opinion, the indigos need to learn how to perform peaceful acts of activism, things like letters to the editor, getting involved in committees on a very local level, such as city councils. We're seeing some indigo children start environmental projects locally, and because of their young age, the adults are really listening to what the children have to say. A lot of the indigos think that they're too young to make a difference. We need to remind them that it's never too young to make a difference on the planet. And actually, they're better off to start young because they have, I think, a little more time, a little less on their plate of life, and because they're young, they charm the adults into listening. They also need to learn how to not become self-destructive with this anger that they feel. In the worst case, you see instances like Columbine, where children become violent because of this anger and because of the frustration they feel about systems that are just so chaotic, so archaic, and in some cases cancerous. In the best case scenario, self-destructiveness with this anger would look like an addiction to violence, where you see children addicted to violent video games or movies, or where they'll self-inflict wounds with cutting themselves or even suicide attempts. These children are angry for a good reason, and I believe that anger can be used in the way that we've seen, like in Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., that it can champion a cause that can make the world a better place, and it can be done with a great deal of love through things like Gandhi taught us, like passive resistance, or Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s work with boycotting any kind of business that is not in alignment with our principles. Most of the parents who contact me about their indigo child have a frustration of how to work with making changes Probably one of the #1 things I hear is, well, what do I do about my child's diet? My child seems to be addicted to potato chips and soda and foods that we know are unhealthful, particularly for an indigo child, because these junk foods and soda pop actually leach magnesium out of the body. And we know that magnesium deficiencies are very correlated with the diagnosis of ADHD. And yet, it's not enough for a parent to know that these are unhealthful. Putting it into practice can feel frustrating. So what I teach parents is sometimes it's not about taking away the foods, it's about introducing an alternative. With my own sons, and my oldest son is definitely an indigo child, when I began feeding them organic salads, that's lettuce, carrots, tomatoes, that are organically grown without the harsh negative energy of pesticides, when I started feeding them those salads, the children softened. Their aggressive tendencies just became gentle. And I found that I was better able to communicate with my son, that he was more accessible and more open-hearted to me, and that naturally his desire for the harsher foods fell away. So sometimes it's not about having a power struggle with the child, it's about giving them something that's a better alternative. In speaking with indigo children around the world who have adopted a healthier diet, what I found is that they are so sensitive to their own body that if they will just be given something like an organic smoothie, which would be organic fruit juice with organic fruit in it, and usually some protein powder in it, that children who eat this way notice that they feel better. And the indigos really do care about themselves, and they want to feel better. So they're searching for what will make them feel better, and they need our help to learn what those alternatives are. I've also found that, especially for your aggressive male indigos, that the Eastern forms of movement, like Tai Chi, Kung Fu, even Karate, help them to learn how to center themselves and how to manage their energy. And when my own children were young, I found that when I put them into a Kung Fu class, their grades went up, and they became happier, and their confidence level also went up. Using the scientific studies about what's practical, and also the scientific studies that show that insomnia is probably the #1 issue that is absolutely statistically correlated with the diagnosis of ADHD. In other words, these children have sleep disorders. There's so many practical ways that we can help our child to have a better night's sleep. For instance, the oil of lavender, which comes from the natural flowers of lavender, has been absolutely shown in scientific studies to help us sleep better. So you can sprinkle a little lavender in a little dish next to your child's bed, or even put some on their pillow and their sheets, and they will sleep better at night. We've also found that if you exercise with any kind of cardiovascular exercise, it doesn't even matter what, it could be fast walking, running, bicycling, swimming, you get your heart rate up for 20 minutes, your whole body chemistry changes in a very beneficial way. What happens is that your brain starts to produce and secrete a very essential neurochemical called serotonin, which is spelled S-E-R-O-T-O-N-I-N. Serotonin is the chemical that helps us and our brain to be balanced, to help us to have a good high mood, good high energy level, to sleep better. It also is correlated in bedwetters, enuresis. Bedwetters don't have enough serotonin production, and also women with PMS, premenstrual syndrome, have a low serotonin level. People who have a low serotonin level also crave junk food, refined carbohydrates, and they also tend to grab a lot of caffeine and sugar to boost their energy. So serotonin seems to be key in managing the energy of everybody, especially indigos, who sometimes wake up cranky and tired and hungry. Now, how do you have more serotonin? As I mentioned, the scientific studies show that 20 minutes of cardiovascular exercise instantly and for quite a long time elevates serotonin level like nothing else does. Also, meditation increases serotonin, as does going out in the sunlight, where you get the absorption of vitamin D that's so necessary to all of our health. And so if we will go outside and exercise just for 20 minutes, and if we'll meditate right before going to bed, we find that we sleep better. So in summary, cardiovascular exercise for at least 20 minutes, meditation, and at least 20 minutes of sunlight. And it can be in the hours where the sun rays are not quite so harsh, so in the morning or the late afternoon, will increase the serotonin level in the brain. And what that will do will trigger melatonin, which helps us to have a better night's sleep. It also helps us to dream at night, which is a time when we process a lot of emotions and also get visitations from angels giving us important messages. And the three, if someone will practice these 3 steps, they will find that they actually can lose weight, they can get off of psychoactive medications like Prozac and Ritalin and feel very alert and have naturally a high happy mood. So when I interviewed indigos around the world, one of the most surprising elements was the number of indigos and also their parents that complained that these children were not sleeping at night because they had what sounded like the boogeyman in their bedroom. And at first I thought, well, this is just normal childhood fears. And being someone who definitely walks the path of optimism and positive thinking, I at first didn't want to look at this pattern that was emerging in my studies. But after a while I thought, I better take a look at what these children are talking about with these spirits in their bedroom that are keeping them up at night. And what I found is that very much like the little boy in the movie The Sixth Sense, who had deceased people come to him because he was psychic and the deceased people knew that he could see them, these very psychic indigos are attracting spirits of all levels. And just like on Earth, not everybody in the spirit world is someone you'd want to hang out with and have dinner with. Of course, we're all holy children of God, but you don't want to necessarily make everyone you meet your best friend. So there's some spirits that are in real trouble, that are frightened and maybe frightening, that come to these indigo children for help. And the indigo children don't know how to handle it, and it makes them feel unsafe, and it keeps them awake at night. So what I learned is that we have to teach the indigos how to manage energy, how to clear space. And one of the best ways to do that is to call upon the non-denominational, very powerful, and very real archangel named Michael. Most people have heard of Michael. He is just as real as I am, as anyone watching this film is. And Michael is the protector who helps to release us from any form of fear, whether it's being confronted with a bully or something frightening in your life, you're in physical danger perhaps. And in the case of having a spirit in your bedroom, Michael will usher that energy away. Once I began teaching these parents and also their children how to call upon Michael, we found immediate and very positive improvements in the sleep levels of the indigo children. And it's such an easy step to do. How do you call him Michael? You just think the thought, or you can say it, Michael, please come help me. And it's done instantly. Because of the law of free will, the spirit world, including our Creator, can only help us if we ask for help. So we do have to request this intervention, and it's done. You can also teach your child other intervention methods like ringing a bell, or using sage to clear the room, or even having a bowl of water with sea salt in it is very cleansing. This empowers the child to know that, hey, I have some say-so in who's around me, both spiritually and physically, and it raises the child's self-esteem, as well as helps them to be in better mood and have better health because they sleep better at night. Most people on the spiritual path at one time or another get repetitive feelings or thoughts or visions or other divine messages that ask them to clean up their diet and to detoxify their body from chemicals. And indigos are no different. A lot of indigos I talk to have been receiving the impression that they should eat better. But what happens is that we're at a period in our Earth's history where fast food is now being sold for lunch on school campuses worldwide. And it is very correlated with this epidemic of childhood obesity and diabetes that we're coming across, purely through a bad diet. Fast food is addictive. It is physically addictive. It is psychologically and emotionally addictive. One of the reasons that it's addictive is because of its high fat content. And fat, when you become accustomed to it, makes your stomach digest at a slower rate. It's like putting grease in a drain, and it clogs it up. When you move to a lower fat diet, you have a very uncomfortable feeling of being hungry. You almost feel like you're starving, and you can feel shaky, and the person will go right back to the high fat diet, just like a drug addict returns to their drug of choice. So what we have is a fast food industry who's cashed in on the addictive nature of fast food by introducing school lunch programs that are extremely unhealthful. The fast food industry is paying off schools a premium in return for their ability to sell on campuses, and the schools have now become addicted to the money that they get from the fast food industry. But there's good news, and that is that parent activists who've gone to school board administrations with facts and figures showing how dangerous fast food is to our child's physical, spiritual, and educational well-being have been able to get soda pop and fast food off of school campuses. And it's one of my passions and one of my lifelong dreams that we can return school campuses to a more holistic eating style, that food will be made on the school campuses. Maybe not the mystery beef that they used to sell in school lunch programs when I was a kid, but something like organic fruits and vegetables, fruit juices, and water, as opposed to caffeinated and sugared beverages that are sold right now. And my organization created a nonprofit website called schoollunchangels.org that is absolutely free of charge charts and graphics and information that any parent can download and take to their printer and put on cardboard. This is tools that is based on real scientific data from Journal of American Medical Association and the New England Journal of Medicine, created by a biologist who has given us a kit that we can take to any school board meeting, and it will show our case as to why we as parents demand that fast food and soda pop be taken off of school campuses now. Otherwise, how can we get our kids to clean up the diet when it's being sold right there as the only alternative to eat on school campuses? One of the benefits that I've found in my traveling around the world is that I've been able to talk to teachers and school board administrators around the world who are deeply concerned about the welfare of our children. These teachers, often who have been teaching for 20 or 30 years, have definitely noticed that the children today are completely different than children in prior generations. And I've asked the teachers, what do you mean by the fact that they're different? And the teachers say, well, these children are highly sensitive and they're hungry for love and attention. And the attention deficit disorder they have is that they have a deficit of attention from their parents and other adults. And we don't want to blame the social strata that says moms now have to work to make ends meet, or that mothers want to work, and not make parents feel any more guilty than they might already feel just by being parents. But what we do want to do is learn from these teachers who are saying that classrooms right now are overcrowded. They have multiple languages that they're dealing with from multiple cultures and various levels of learning abilities. And so this is not an easy time to be a school teacher, coupled with the fact that we still underpay teachers terribly. What we do want to address is solutions. And I have found that teachers tell me that we're still in a state where there's separation of church and government. And these teachers know that there's a need for more spiritually based programs in the school systems, but there's still a witch hunt mentality that says teachers can't do things like have their children engage in meditation. Meditation is the perfect antidote for these children who are tense, who are stressed out because there's so much energy in the school classroom. A very sensitive person has a hard time in a crowded room, and that's what the classrooms are right now. So what I've learned is that the teachers are doing undercover spiritual healing work with the kids. Instead of calling it meditation time, they're calling it time out, or they're calling it nap time. But what they do during the meditation and time at these classrooms is the teacher will have the class visualize things like sitting in a bubble of pink light. And you can put into the pink light any wish that you have. and then breathe in the pink light. Now that's clearly spiritual healing, but we have to use different terms like time out in order for it to fly with parents who aren't quite so savvy to this sort of benefit, and also to the traditional school board members. I've also talked to teachers who've told me they've learned how to teach the children to work with energy. One teacher in a Montessori school has his students take any kind of negative feelings they have and imagine that the negative feelings are in their hands. And that's a way to get it out of the body and out of the mind and out of the heart. And then he has them just blow the negative energy off into the ethers. And again, you've got spiritual healing couched as a nap time or as a time out. The teachers feel very frustrated. A lot of the teachers are burning out because they don't like the politics of the old school system that we have. They don't like the fact that they have to put up with the residuals of fast food lunches, that their children might be calm because they've had a healthful breakfast, and then they go to recess or lunch and they come back all agitated because they've just had 2 soda pops mixed with a high-fat burger and chocolate cake, and that's what the child ate. So now the child's amped up. What's the teacher going to do? The teacher has no choice but to get the kids to calm down, and many teachers are using breathing techniques, which is very helpful in helping the child to ground and center themselves. So they'll, after lunch, they'll say, okay, kids, we're going to close our eyes, take in a deep breath, and let out any stress. Now that is something that is acceptable to parents, and yet very ancient spiritual wisdom. There are some models of education right now that do exist, such as Waldorf, Steiner schools, and some of the Montessori schools, which provide a perfect nurturing atmosphere for children. The new children are mostly right brain dominant. Brain scan studies on healthy children are showing that they tend to have more electrical activity in the right side of their brain, which is correlated with being visual as opposed to being linear, which is correlated with being more musically oriented, and also having mathematical abilities, which is a right brain function, and more emotional. So our old educational system is based on a left brain model. For instance, with phonetics, the child will have to hear the word over and over again. These children are visually oriented. So the new educational model is based on that, where the child will actually see the words and then uses their body to, for instance, if they're learning the word apple, they'll touch an apple so that their kinesthetics are involved. In the Montessori and also in the Waldorf method, the children get hugs and they have very healthful food given to them for lunches and snacks. And the children have nap time. The children use their body. For instance, learning how to count, they'll stomp their feet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to get a body memory of what they're learning. In other words, it's more holistic. There's so many studies to support the need for right brain dominant and holistic education that we're finding that the traditional schools are starting to listen. I've been so happy to find that at my workshops that school board administrators and many teachers and principals are showing up because, you know what, they do care. And they're looking for baby steps they can take in that direction. And I'm finding that teachers who are incorporating these more holistic approaches in their classrooms are finding that they have a lot of success in calming down the kids, helping them to focus through methods like breathing, encouraging kids to bring a brown bag lunch from home that's got good, healthful, organic food, and then helping the kids to connect with, doesn't this feel good? The group purpose, or the sole purpose of the Indigos, is to save this planet. The old energy of lies, deception, greed, competition is really threatening this planet's history. I do believe the planet will survive, intact, but the level of happiness, the number of people who are healthy and who physically survive is still a question mark. And the Indigos are here to save us from ourselves. The Indigos, in my opinion, have the toughest job of any group of people who've ever come here. They are absolutely courageous, brave souls who deserve our respect, our support, and our applause, and definitely our eternal gratitude. You know, a lot of indigos are labeled ADHD, which the medical community will tell you stands for attention deficit with hyperactivity disorder. But I think that ADHD stands for attention dialed into a higher dimension. And indigos have a message for us. And yes, sometimes it might be couched in loud music or aggressive behavior or even introverted behavior that can frighten us and intimidate us, adults. And yet, the indigo generation needs the adults. They need us to get second opinions if they are mislabeled with something like Asperger's syndrome or autism, ADHD, or bipolar disorder. They need us to learn how to, as adults, to help them to channel their anger. They need us adults to buy them healthful foods and to be good role models. If we're, as adults, if we're taking care of our stress by drinking wine and smoking pot, how can we help our kids to learn to manage stress in a healthy way? So to the indigos, I say that the older generations are not very comfortable with change. That's why you've seen in the presidential election in the US, in the elections in Australia and the UK, where the leaders, even though many people claim that they are not working the path of integrity, have still been re-elected. The indigos are very comfortable with change. In fact, they welcome it. And so to the indigos, what I say is, please have patience with us older people while we're still learning to cope and grow ourselves. And please, indigos, listen to your own inner voice. Don't be dissuaded just because someone is older than you to go off of your own path. Please don't let an adult who is saying something that doesn't vibrate as the truth to you to talk you out of your own inner truth. Indigos, we need you to stick to the mission that you came here to do and to know that you're old enough to do it, that you're qualified, that you're ready to do it, and that ultimately we adults will come around and support you, even if in the beginning we may seem to resist you. I believe that we all have equal potential and that we all have God-given abilities that we've forgotten about, that in prior cultures that have been on this planet that we have utilized before. I believe that one of the reasons that when we watch movies like Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter, read about Harry Potter, one of the reasons we gravitate toward those magical tales is because we know that we have the magical abilities within us, and it's not even magic, it's inborn. I truly believe that on the inside we're all identical, we're all beings of pure light and love, and that the outside is just an illusion, that we're just trying to get back to our center core through all of these paradigms that we're talking about today. The human potential is there for us to levitate, to instantly manifest, to instantly heal anything that seems to be out of balance. And yet there's this belief that healing and change takes time, that healing and change is threatening because change feels frightening. There's this human belief that, gee, even though it's bad right now, it might be worse, so I better not change it. And once we smash through that barrier, which is just a belief, it's just a thought form, and will it away, I believe that all of our natural potential is right there under the surface, awaiting to shine.
Yes, it is.
Hi there, this is Sharon Jason from USA.
Hi, Sharon. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm really good. Thank you so much for calling.
Now, I thought they sent me a copy of a documentary about the making of it.
Oh, that was a different movie. That was the making of Indigo. But this is going to be actually a documentary on the Indigo children because...
Oh, this is a new... Okay.
A new movie, yeah. Because what happened was the feature film was so successful and everyone enjoyed it so much, it has spawned an enormous interest in the phenomena of the Indigo children. So we're following up the movie Indigo with a documentary about the Indigo children. So basically what happened was through my experiences and travels, I had been meeting so many of these children in Bulgaria and throughout the US and really around the world, and all of them said that they want to get their message out. They want to talk about what's important to them, which is really changing the world. And being good friends with Stephen Simon, who's been in the movie business for 30 years, and I just began to percolate this idea for a story that would sort of get the children, not only the message out, but just to let people know that the children that are coming into the world today are just really, they have a lot to say. And so that's really where it began. Just by meeting so many of these children, we began doing some conferences where we would have the children come and be the main speakers, and it was just like the next step in getting this message out.
Now, let me ask you, when you talk about meeting so many of the children and having them be the speakers, I've done a little bit of research to prepare for this, and I see in some cases I've heard, well, they're just children at certain ages, and then other people are claiming they're indigo adults. So I'm not clear about that.
Well, you know, first of all, most of the children that I have met that we might call indigo children hate to be called indigo children because they feel like it's putting them in a box, and it's just like a little pigeonhole that we're trying to force them into. And the thing about these children is that they really can't be put into boxes. And it's not that this is a new thing. I think it's just that there's so many more of them now. The analogy that I like to use is that it used to be like dial-up connection, now it's broadband. So there are just so many more of these.
Why do you think there are so many more?
Well, on a spiritual level, I think this is just the time. I think that this is just such an important time in human evolution and in our history that we need wise souls. And if you want to think about it in that way, maybe it's possible that these children that are being born today are just, they're just coming to save the planet. On the other hand, I think that this is also just as simple as human evolution. That it's only natural that the children today would be a step ahead of where we were or where our parents were. So on one hand it's very mystical, on the other hand I think it's not mystical at all. I think that this is just the result of so many of us who are beginning to focus on ways we can make the world a better place.
Okay, well, let me ask you a little bit about how do you know, and I've looked at there's characteristics of indigo children, but how do you know, when you said you've been meeting so many of these children, how do you know an indigo kid from another kid?
Well, what happened in my particular case was children literally began knocking on our door or calling us saying, I've got a message that I want everybody to hear, and you can help me get it out. That was...
When you say they began knocking on your, you mean, and I don't mean literally necessarily.
Well, I mean literally.
You mean literally, but are you talking that they started approaching you in Oregon or where?
What happened when the book that I wrote, Emissary of Love, came out, that began describing my own journey with the children, they began to seek me out.
Oh, okay. That was your book. Okay.
Yeah, I think that they just realized that I was someone who could help them get their message out. And in 2 or 3 cases, I mean, they literally just knocked on the door and said, I want to talk to you.
Right.
And in many other...
How old are these kids?
Oh, I would say anywhere from about 8 to in their older teens. And then there are also young people who I would say are in their early 20s. Or so that I would say we're sort of the forerunners of this. And in fact, just 2 of them showed up here yesterday in Ashland, and just these amazing men who have been tracking this and been feeling this their whole life, and their whole mission is to help these younger kids understand themselves because they had to go through much in understanding who they were.
Okay. Well, let me ask you, because I was doing, like I said, in this research, and one place I saw it said that they are ages 8 or younger. So I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Because then I look on websites and people say, oh, I'm an indigo adult. So I'm really having trouble.
Me too.
Out what it is.
Me too, Sharon. Because it defies definition, and it defies category. And yeah, there are some people who say it's this age and younger. I'm not one of those people. Because I don't think that it's that simple. I don't think that we can point to a particular age or a particular group and say this is it, because and from what I've been hearing from many of the children that I have met that I might characterize as indigo children, this is the thing that frustrates them the most. It's almost like a lot of people out there want to force them into a box, even though their whole message is get out of your box.
Well, I guess the question, though, is like when I said, you know, it says here, indigo children are our ages this and this, and then, so then what does that mean as far as these children were, you know, born a few years ago, whereas then you had these adults who says that they are. So
there are also people who make differentiations in, you know, they'll call some the indigo children, they'll call others crystal children, and they'll say that kids that were born after this date are more crystal children, and others that are indigo. You know, maybe that's true, maybe it isn't. It hasn't really held true for me, to be honest with you. I believe that that you were possibly an indigo child, or I was an indigo child, and it's not that this is new. It's just that there's so many more of them now.
Okay, and does someone keep track of this? I mean,
No.
How do you know there are so many?
Well, I know that only because they just been showing themselves, and so many of the children that I meet out there they just seem to have a different focus and different. A much more profound need to share who they are and to share their wisdom and that kind of thing. So if that's what an indigo child is, and you know, me, even as one of the so-called experts on indigo children, I don't really even know what they are sometimes, because it's really not one of those things that can so easily be defined.
Now, what about? I hear that there's a group that people just are saying, well, these are really just ADHD kids, but parents don't want them to be, you know, they'd rather say they're indigo kids.
You know, I think that there may be some truth to that, that there will always be parents who want to think that their children are the special ones. You know, whether it be that they're the special athletes or the special intellects in their class, and it's sort of like the indigo child thing in many circles has become sort of the buzzword, and it's a way for parents themselves to think that their kids are special. And
okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay. And yet at the same time, what we have noticed is that many of these children who I would say have who are very wise and who have perhaps special abilities or special gifts, they also have problems like the attention deficit disorder, because once again they just seem to be much more sensitive to their environments or to the food, and so I personally wouldn't say that every child that has attention deficit disorder has a profound message for the world. I think definitely in some cases it's wishful thinking in the parents, and it's just, you know, a nice little new age bandwagon to jump onto. But I do think that the phenomena is real, and I think that there are a lot of children out there who are crying out for help and who have profound messages to offer to the world.
Okay, now let me ask you about, so if you were going to meet, I mean, if you're meeting somebody, would you be able to tell, I mean, what would be clues that would tell you that this is an indigo kid? I mean, is it something you can see? Is this something, I mean, I read someplace that people say they have a blue aura. I mean, what do you think about, you know, you're meeting people for the first time and all of a sudden, why would you say that's an indigo?
Well, originally, as you said, the whole name Indigo Children came about because psychics started to see these indigo auras around certain children, and to them that meant that they had special energy or special abilities or gifts, right? I don't personally see auras like that. How I normally tell, it's just sort of an internal barometer. It's just how I feel when I'm with them. There are just certain kids that when I'm with them, I just feel all lit up. And you know, they'll share themselves at a deep level, and it inspires me. Now, that may be a bit of a crude way of telling, but to me, it's been the most accurate way that I know. It's really just a question of how do they make me feel. Now, there are other children that I have met who have profound abilities, whether it be telekinetic or psychic or healing powers. That's a bit more obvious when you see a child who can actually move things with their mind. Obviously, but that's pretty rare. I did encounter some of those children in Bulgaria, but it's pretty few and far between. But for the most part, with these children, if they make me feel like there's something inside me that's just jumping for joy, that's usually how I know.
Okay. All right. And, okay. So this is not something that somebody is going to say, diagnose them and say,
no,
this is an indigo kid.
No, because certainly in the scientific realm, this is just a bunch of New Age nonsense, I'm sure. But I think anyone with an inquisitive and rational mind can look at many of the children that are out there today and say there's something different about them, and that a lot of them have profound messages and wisdom that maybe we didn't have, or maybe for some of us we had to go through the school of hard knocks to get to where they are naturally.
Well, are they, okay, are they spooky in any way, or are they like ultra serious, or are they like typical kids? But
no.
I would like you to see if you could put me in touch with some.
Sure, absolutely.
And let's talk about that kind of at the end.
Yeah, I definitely have a few that we could put you in touch with.
But how do you, if somebody's meeting them, like me or whatever, who I don't know that if I've met an indigo kid, but I guess, how you said they make you feel lit up. Are they ultra serious? Are they kids that, fight with their siblings, or are they just like really?
These are kids, like, for the most part, like any other kid that you're going to meet. Like when we have done these conferences, it's always a bit of a gamble, because you get them up on the stage and you don't really know who's going to show up. You don't know if they're going to get up there like a little kid and say a bunch of silliness, or if they're going to come out with the wisest thing you've ever heard in your life. Both have happened to us. Usually when we do the conferences, I try and get up there with them to sort of pull them along and pull it out of them.
And when do you do the conferences?
We have done 3 in the last 2 years.
Okay, when?
The first one was March 2 years ago, and
March of 2003.
Of 2003, correct. And then we have done 2 of them here in Ashland, and in the last.
Where was the first one?
The first one was on the Big Island in Hawaii.
Oh, that's a great place.
Yes, it was.
Now, and was the location any reason more spiritual or something?
Well, I would say the reason we picked the Big Island was because a lot of these kids talk about their connection with dolphins and whales.
Oh.
And, not all of them, but definitely some of them have. And so that is a great location if you want to get out there and actually be in the ocean with the wild dolphins and whales.
Oh, okay.
So that's why we chose that. We had about 600 people come to that conference.
Okay. And from across the country?
From all over the world, really.
Okay.
This is definitely a worldwide phenomenon.
Yeah. Let me ask you before we go back to the other conferences. I think I read somewhere that Whale Rider, is that considered or was that considered an indigo kid?
Yeah, I would definitely say that if you look at the movie Whale Rider, that would be an example of a real indigo child. Someone who was very connected with nature, very connected with the ancient mysteries of her own culture, and yet very misunderstood by the people around her.
I didn't see it, but I think I'm going to have to.
Oh, it's a wonderful movie. I think you'll love it.
I've heard it was really good.
Yeah.
You said someone connected with nature and ancient mysteries of her own culture?
Yeah.
Okay. Then I also heard, is that possible Frida was also thought of that way, or the movie Frida?
Huh.
I don't know. I read that somewhere.
I've never thought about it like that.
All right. Well, I hadn't seen that one either, so I wasn't sure. Okay, so then you said you did this first one in March, and then you've had 2 in Ashland. When were they?
Let me think. The first one was fall, I think. Let me think. Was it?
I don't have to have the exact month.
It was fall of 2003, and then we did another one last, I think, May.
May of 2004?
Yes.
Okay.
And then we also did one in Florida, which I think was in February of 2004.
Okay. Okay. And you typically have about 600 or so or
Yes.
more?
Yeah, about 600 usually.
And what's the name of the conference, or who puts it on?
It's my organization, and the conference was called The Psychic Children Speak to the World.
The Psychic Children Speak. And when you say, is that an Emissary production? Is it Emissary or another group?
Well, Emissary Productions is owned by or operated by a larger organization called the Beloved Community, which is a church organization.
Okay, now let me just get some of this. You said that, okay, Emissary, are you the owner of Emissary? I just
The president, yeah.
Okay, president of Emissary. And that's the one that produced the movie.
That's correct.
And owns the movie.
That's correct.
And
well, Emissary Productions, we formed to make the movie Indigo, which is, I guess, probably about 2 years ago now.
Okay, 2 years ago. And I heard it was shot in like 20 days or something?
20 days, yes.
Okay, wow. That was amazing.
Well, we have a new movie that's coming out now, which we shot in 5 days, which is even more amazing.
Wow, okay. But it's not about Indigo.
No, that's not.
Okay.
So I won't confuse you with that one.
No, let's not do that. Let me tell you, I'm not going to have enough space.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Okay, let me. There were a couple other things. So, would you? I mean, basically, are these Indigo? Well, let's go back to the whole issue of Indigo kids. Are they psychic? Is that the thing that's different about them, or how would you describe this?
I would say that many of the children that I have been meeting, that I would personally call Indigo children, do have psychic gifts or are sensitive on many levels, but not all of them. But I would say almost all of them have their own special gift. It's much like a child who is gifted in sports. One will be good in baseball, one will be good in basketball, but they all just have this natural inclination toward these more subtle realities.
Well, let me ask you, when we were talking about kind of what makes them different, you said they're like most every kid, so how would you know that they're not? I mean, is it something they say, something they do?
Well, so many of the children that I have met, it seems like they came into the world knowing why they were born, and so many of them will actually tell them that I'm here to change the world, or I'm going to be the president someday, and things aren't right the way they are, and I'm here to change it. And of course, that's probably always happened. There have always been kids who have had profound social consciousness.
Right.
But there are just so many of them now, and also in all walks of life. This is not something that is reserved to children of esoteric sort of parents. In fact, most of these children began to be noticed first in Eastern countries, in Japan and China and Russia, and it's only recently that they begin to turn up more in the Western culture, and I think it's because of simply because the focus of the Western culture is very different. The Eastern culture is much more focused inward, and the Western culture is focused more outward. So the kids are always on their computers and their computer games, and but now I think this is much more of a worldwide phenomenon.
Okay, that makes sense. And when you see these, I mean, when you talk to these kids, you're thinking these are kids who are, like you were saying, like older. You're not going to have a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old make these kind of comments, or are you?
The kids always seem to make statements appropriate to their age. There is like a 3-year-old child actually here in Ashland. She was actually in the movie. Did you get a chance to see Indigo, by the way?
No, that's why I'm actually getting it sent to me.
Oh, good, okay.
I just talked to Scott Mansfield, and they're going to send it to me. I'll see it next week.
Oh, good. Well, the main character of Grace is actually played by 3 different girls, because they're 3 different ages.
Oh, okay.
And the 2 girls who play the 2 youngest Graces are sisters. And one of them was about 1.5 years when we made the movie. Now she's about 3. And she, even though she's 3 years old, the things that come out of her mouth never cease to amaze her parents or me. And she has direct recall of her past life, and she talks all the time about how she was her mother's mother, who passed on right before she was born, and she talks about instances in her grandmother's life that there's no way that she could know because no one's ever mentioned them to her, and she talks to her mother about these things as if they happened to her.
So this child believes that she is basically her grandmother.
Yes, but at the same time, this child is so young that she doesn't understand that that is an unusual thing. You know.
Okay, let me ask you about the same family then.
By the way, this would be a great family to interview.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking about that.
Yeah.
What about, you said there the two girls who are sisters. Are both of them indigo kids
Yes.
or just one? Okay.
Angelina, the older of the two, has been working on a book about energy, and she's determined to learn how to walk through walls, and she is one of the children that we've had speak at our conference. And her younger sister is the one who's 3 now, who is just beginning to come out with really remarkable things.
Okay, so both of them are.
Yes.
You said there were 3 different girls playing this main character.
That's correct.
All 3 of them were quote or unquote indigo kids or something,
Well,
not acting. I'm just wondering if they're actresses that, you know, are pretending they're indigo or if they're real indigo.
The young girl who played the main role of Grace, Megan, I don't know if I would personally characterize her as an indigo child. She was just a great little actress. And but it was really interesting because she comes from a very traditional Christian family, and there were some concerns on her parents' part about, you know, this sort of new agey thing we were doing, and her kid not being proselytized, and we assured them that that was not what we were about, and we became very good friends with all of them. But it really showed how this is something that can be embraced by a real large cross section of people.
Okay, all right. And are all of these people then lived in Ashland?
Most of the people who were working on the film, yes.
Okay, so
those 3 children do.
These 3 children live in Ashland?
The 2 sisters live in Ashland, and the other one lives in Medford, which is the next town.
Megan in Medford. And how old is she?
She, I think, now is 11.
Okay. All right. I may want to see if you can get me in touch with them.
Not a problem.
Okay, so it doesn't mean so you're saying that even a child as young as 3 can be,
yes,
you know, considered an indigo.
Yes, and children as young as 3 are definitely coming out with information and wisdom and insights that a normal 3-year-old should not be coming out with.
Well, so you said on one hand that they are just like every other kid. So is it just they come out with pronouncements, or are they really?
It doesn't. You know, you just have to sort of catch them in the right mood. I mean, they'll be a complete, total kid in every way. And then all of a sudden, they'll just stop and look at you and say something that just is really amazing. Or, you know, so that's why I said you really have to.
Yeah, I am gonna do that, and I've been reading. I mean, there's a huge amount of information on the internet about it, et cetera. Is there any part of the country in which you said that a lot of Eastern countries, but is there any part of the U.S. where indigos seem to, you know, either go there because their families want them to be with other kids, or are they just really all over the place?
I don't know. I would say they're probably all over the place, but at the same time, you're going to hear about them more in certain places just because the consciousness is greater.
Okay, like where?
Like in, you know, California, for example. I'm sure there are a lot more people talking about this than in Nebraska, just because the consciousness is not so attuned to this sort of thing. But that doesn't necessarily mean that there are fewer kids who are like this in Nebraska. It's just that they wouldn't know the term indigo children, or they wouldn't know how to define it.
Right. Okay. Well, typically, like among parents, would they know about this, or would they be talking to their pediatrician, say something, my kid, you know, is like unbelievably intelligent to it? I mean, how does this kind of...
Well, I think for a lot of parents who, many of whom are not into this sort of lingo or subject matter, they have concerns about their children. Perhaps they are intuitive, or for many of them, they're having problems in school, behavioral problems, academic problems. A lot of times what happens is the school system is just so, these kids are so beyond the level that they're trying to teach them that they just turn off. And you get them into a special school and they blossom.
Okay, and I see there's a lot of special schools I saw on the web, on one of the websites.
Yeah, that's definitely one thing that we've seen a lot of, is that, and also the medical field, I think, is more about using chemicals to force these kids back into the boxes that they feel that they should be in, rather than trying to understand these children. So if a child comes to them with behavioral problems or special sensitivities, or is talking about things that they don't understand, the immediate response is to give them Ritalin or whatever. So I would say that the medical field is nowhere near ready to accept that there really is something going on here.
Okay. So do you think there are indigo adults that things have been going on for quite a while?
I do personally. My personal feeling is that indigo children are nothing more than people who are coming in onto the planet, who chose to be here at this time, and whose only goal is to create a world that is in balance, and that, where we can finally achieve the things we've been saying we've been wanting. Now, I think that's something that's always been in my life since I can remember. So,
you think you're an indigo adult?
I would say I am. Yeah. I remember when I was a child, I was raised in a very Catholic family, and because that was my whole framework, the only thing I was really interested in was going to church and saying my rosary, because I felt this very special connection. And so for me, the only real option was studying to be a priest, which I did for the first 2 years out of high school.
Oh, okay.
And but then after that I began to realize there was a whole lot more going on that I had not been exposed to. But yeah, for me, growing up, all of these sensitivities that we see in these children were very much present in my life.
Okay.
So that's one of the reasons why I have a hard time believing that this is something that we can pinpoint and say it's this age or it's that age.
Right.